All right, we should be live. My recording is working. See if I can see myself on Twitch. All right. See myself scratching the back of my neck. Looks good. All right, Big Kitty, are you there? Can you hear me? Had a little audio snafu in yesterday's stream. So just want to make sure that the audio is sounding good today. Big Kitty might not be there. We've got a few viewers. Anybody out there, is the audio sound okay today? It should sound really nice and crisp. Yesterday it was very muffled at first, and I had to change some stuff around. So I was playing around with NVIDIA RTX Voice a couple last week, and that ended up, I think, screwing with some of my Windows audio defaults and everything. So OBS started using those defaults, but I think I set OBS to strictly use my main audio interface now, which everything should sound good. Beckitty, you there? I just need a little thumbs up if the audio sounds good or something. Before we get started here, hang on, I think I'm going to run upstairs. Be back in a quick second here. Don't go anywhere. Yeah, I think you just check. Just give me like a little thumbs up or say it sounds good in the chat. It sounds crisp. If it sounds like muffled, let me know. All right. I'm back. Does it sound good? Test. Audio test. Sounds good. Cool. Thanks, Big Kitty. All right. So looks like we got a couple viewers here. So we'll get started. Yeah, so today, well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's terrible JavaScript game development. We're working on my game, which is currently called TraceRacer, but it might not be called TraceRacer at the end of after this week. I'm working on renaming it because tracing isn't really part of the game anymore. So that's one of my tasks for this week, is to come up with a new name. That being said, we are almost ready for a public test version. So today's stream might be a little shorter. I'm going to basically just be cleaning up some of the code, preparing a few things that I want to have that are there's a couple tweaks we'll make to the well, not really like gameplay tweaks or anything. At this point, the gameplay is where we want it to be, but at least for our initial version. But I'm going to just change a few things on screen, and we'll have just probably some code cleanup and everything, and maybe moving some variables around a bit to just kind of have them more in their proper place. I'll be taking a look at some of my to-dos that I've had for a long time here that I don't know what they are. A lot of them might not even apply anymore, but we'll probably take a look through all of those and just see what makes sense to get cleaned up. But yeah, I was saying it was probably going to be a little bit of a shorter stream. I might only go like three hours, maybe 4. Because I'm going to use the rest of the time to start really digging into picking the server that I'm going to be using, the cloud server, finding exactly what I'm going to be doing for that, and trying to get that configured, and then trying to get the code up there, the app deployed up there, and then stuff will pretty much be ready. But part of that too is also I'm trying to pick a name. So yeah, so trying to pick a new name, and we'll have a nice domain name and everything set up. And that way, hopefully right off the bat Monday, we can actually start saying, hey, the game's available to play. That would be cool. So without further ado, I think we'll dive in and start organizing the code a little better here. So one thing I'm going to fix right off the bat is our stats screen time. I just want to make that, all the rounding, look good for that. So I want to have this right now, the pops per second. The total time gets rounded to a whole integer, a whole number there. And we have our pops per second that doesn't use the whole number to generate, but like it doesn't, basically it's pops divided by, bubbles pop divided by time, right? But it's not using this whole number, it's using the actual value. So if 5 will be sometimes 5.008, and then this will show 3 decimal places. So then sometimes instead of what would be a whole number, like let's say you pop 30 bubbles in 30 seconds, this sometimes might show, well, you actually popped 29.997, and that just looks a little funky. So we are going to just change that to use the whole number time. And then maybe in the future I'll think a little bit more about how I really want to tighten that up, but I think this will get us by for now. All right, so stat screen creator, I'm already here. So here's where we're setting up our new stat objects. So basically the number of bubbles popped, the total time, we're rounding that to the nearest. So the total time comes in as number of milliseconds. So we have to divide by 1,000 to get the number of seconds. And then we're rounding that to the nearest second. So what we want to do is actually put this in a variable. We want to put this whole thing in a variable. So I'm going to do a const here. We're going to do rounded time, rounded total time, I guess. Rounded total time is going to equal this. I'm going to dump that in, and then this will be used here. So now we'll be using this rounded time, because the game ends in 30 seconds, right? Or currently it's just doing 5, but I got to set that back to do for 30. So the game runs for 30 seconds, and I don't want the time to show 30.008 or something like that, or 30.016 for the time, because that just looks a little weird. And I also just want our pops per second to just use that whole number time slot as well, because people, it just looks kind of like, well, why is it, if it was 30 seconds, why is it showing 30.008 or something like, something dumb like that. So here we go. This should be good now. So let's pop 5 bubbles. Time's up. Oh, I did something wrong here. Pops per Oh, it's got to be... I guess actually what we need to do, yeah, because total time is the number of milliseconds. So we need to round total time, I guess. We should actually probably do this. This should be called rounded total time, and then we math dot round just total time, and then so we rounded total time, and then we divide by 1,000. So this will convert to seconds. So this is rounded total time is now milliseconds, which is what we want because we were converting that to seconds as well. So now if we do, let's just pop 5 bubbles. There's 5 and 5 seconds. Okay. Yeah, see, this is an example of the weird kind of thing, right? So we should have had 1 pops per second average, but it comes out as 0.998 because our total time is 5.008 and our pops is 5. Pops is a nice whole integer, but our total time is 5.008, you know, etc. You can kind of see how that math lines up there. So, okay, yeah, I did that. That was dumb. I guess let's do, actually, we're going to go back to what we were doing before and have do it like this. Rounded total time. So that's good. But then I think we can just take out our divide by 1,000 here. I'm just trying to do this quick so we can move on here. So let's pop 5 bubbles. 5. Time's up. Okay, all right, now I need to actually think about this here. So we're doing bubbles pop divided by the number of seconds. So now we can get rid of this times 1,000,000 or whatever, 100,000. So if we do this, 5 should come out. There we go. 5 bubbles pop, total time 5 seconds, pops 1 per second, right? So let's try. We'll do, oops. Okay, so there it counts as 0 because we messed up. Let's just do 2. Make sure this comes out as a nice solid 0.4. All right, so we're rounding this now, which is not what I want. So we need to divide 2 by 5, right? Bubbles popped. Okay, so this needs to be times 1,000 and then divided by 1,000, I think. Because we'll round, yeah. All right. So we do 2, so this should now come out as 0.4. There we go. Okay. That looks nice. So let's just do a little more. 2 pops per second because I popped 10. Cool. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just make sure all our numbers are coming out nice. Beautiful. 1.4. I like it. And just for kicks, let's just do a little quick 30-second round test here. See what we come out with. Config. So this should be 30 seconds. So this is what the final game will be, or the, you know, our first initial test version will be. It'll be the 30-second game only. There won't be any option to change that. 30 seconds is like, it's a nice number to play, you know. It gives you enough time to pop a lot of bubbles, have some fun. But it's also 69 bubbles pop, 30 seconds, 2.3 pops per second. All right, let me make sure I'm actually doing that number correctly there. 30. Yeah, it comes out to a solid 2.3. Okay, let's make sure we're actually getting I don't know how many I popped there, but hopefully more than 30. 42. Everything's coming out so evenly now. Well, I guess actually that's fine. It's like if it was 41 divided by 30, it'd be 1.3. Okay, let's try 41 bubbles. It's kind of stupid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. I'm getting a little warm. All right. Yes, 1.367 pops per second. All right. The stats are good. I'm happy with that. Let's move on to the next thing. Okay, so 30 seconds. The stats are looking good. I like it. Nobody would complain playing it that the numbers look weird or anything, I don't think. So let's do... Let me just make this a little more clear. Rounded total time sec, so that we know we're in seconds now. Because once again, total time is the number of milliseconds. Here we go. All right. Okay, so next I actually want to remove, I'm just going to have this play button. We're going to remove the practice button for right now. I was explaining this yesterday a bit. Right now, I did play and practice buttons. They both do the same exact thing. They both actually start the practice mode. Because the play button is going to be our, when the game has the competitive mode added, it'll be play, we'll start a competitive game, one-on-one. Practice will just be the single player mode. So I want to get rid of the practice button for right now, and we're just going to have the one play button. And that's just going to mean the practice for right now. Just for our public test. So let's look at that menu class here. And actually, another thing we might add is at least just a placeholder name. Because once again, I'm going to be renaming the game. I need to think of a new name for the game. And I'd like to get that taken care of this week. All right, so we're looking at the menu code here. I have a single menu object that actually keeps track of the play and practice buttons, but also the in-game quit button. So when you actually start a game, it also keeps track of that button as well. Yeah, so I'd like to just maybe keep the code for the practice button, but just I just might not initialize the practice button. Let's just see what happens for that, because that might be just the most simple fix. Because that way I don't need to change any of the positioning, the code for the positioning. That way the play button will still show up like this, in this same position. Because what it does is it centers itself, so the menu like centers itself. So if we resize the window, everything works, right? And it's doing that centering based upon, you know, like the height of this, plus there's like a little bit of white space between these two, plus the height of this. So you get like a full height, and then those positions and everything are centered off of that, right? So the amount of white space above the play button is the same as the amount of white space below the practice button, if that makes sense. And it does the same thing with the width of them too. So it has like a width of, from the very leftmost pixel of the play button to the very rightmost pixel of the practice button, then it centers them up in the center of the screen based upon that. So for right now, I think I'm just going to get rid of, just like not initialize the practice button, and I don't think that would break anything, because the way the game works is the menu buttons never get destructed anyway, so it's not going to like break. Okay, so menu creator, we're going to go to our marathon creator. Nope, that's not what we want. We want menu. Oh, yeah, that's right. We've got a static create method on the menu. So let's do. So we'll still create our practice button and everything, but we'll just not initialize it. I want to just see what happens if we just don't initialize the practice button. Oops. Which basically, by not initializing it, it just won't be like that. Now it's gone. Did that refresh on its own? Or did I do that? So we might tweak the position here of this. Let's see what happens when we just kind of play a game. Quit. Oh, now it got initialized, I guess. Okay. All right. So we need to figure out a better solution for that. I'm going to hit the bathroom real quick. I know I just got started. Go easy on me. We'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Okay, so let's see here. Now, I think, oh yeah, I've got the hide. I've got the hide function. So we're going to make this like we'll do practice button dot hide. I'll just say currently for test for public for or I'll just say keep practice button hidden for public test. All right, so we got that, and then I also need to, I've got some methods on here for show. Yeah, so we can just I'll just use let's say show. Okay, so we've got show main, so this will just always be like that, and then I think I can just take out the show. Oops. There we go. So if I play, we go back, it's not unhidden. That's nice. All right, so let's see about, I just want to extra make sure that it works just fine when we do where are we going here? Got the wide mouth today instead of my normal glass. All right. Oh, I know what I wanted to do. Okay, so we're going to shorten the time length of the game now just to like 5 seconds, or better yet, we'll just do 1 second. We're going to do that. We're going to play. We're going to go to the stats screen. Boom, time's up. We're going to quit. Okay, and we're good. Back to the play. Time's up. Beautiful. Nice. Okay, and then what I'm thinking of maybe doing right now is like a placeholder, adding in like a placeholder title for the game. So we'll add yeah, how do we want to do that? It'd be nice to just have like our title and then like the play button kind of down here. I'm trying to think of how to do that without screwing up all my code from before. Oh, and I thought of another kind of problem here with that. You know what? Maybe we don't need the title right away. Does it look dumb just having a play button? Like you go to the game and it's just a play button sitting there. I don't know. I don't know what I want to do with this yet. Maybe I want a title, maybe not. I think we'll leave it for right now. Okay, one thing I really want to do is just have like a little link. So another task is to just have like some links here for the Discord and for the Twitch page. So it would be nice to have like, just in case anyone stumbles upon the game. Like I don't think anyone would ever stumble upon the game not on Twitch for right now. But it would probably still be nice to have those links in the bottom. Just to kind of point back, you know, to maybe bring in some more people from. So, yeah, so let's try something like that. We're going to actually have to do some HTML here. Some HTML and some CSS. HTML link. All right, so let's actually, we're going to go into our HTML file here and actually put something. So inside of body, I guess we're going to have an A, if I remember how to actually write HTML. Yeah, so this would be, I guess we would have like a div or something. Let's just make sure stuff actually shows up on screen. So if I do A, whoops, src, is that the right? Yeah, what is my Twitch link here? Twitch TV/Duranosaur, I guess, but I'll just copy and paste it so I don't make any mistakes with that. And be sure to follow me on Twitch. Okay. Do that. And then we'll do Twitch. And let's see what happens. Oops. Okay. Oh, is it link? Is that what it's called? Yeah, source is like Twitch. No, oh, href. That's what it's called. I remember. Okay. There we go. So now we've got an actual Twitch link. Okay. Showing ads on my stuff. I'm showing ads now. I guess I have no choice. I have no choice but to show ads. All right. So, okay, so this is good, but we need to like do position absolute and stuff like that. So style equals position absolute. Did I do that right? There we go. Okay, so now it's on top of the canvas. That's great. But we're actually going to want to do like a I guess what I'm going to do probably is like a div. We're going to do like submit or follow development yeah, just something like this. Follow development progress. Let's just see what that looks like. Oh, this needs to be on the div now. I don't know anything about HTML. Really. Follow development progress, Twitch, sweet. Okay, and then maybe we'd have like two things. We'd have like join our Discord. Just submit feedback or something. Join our Discord to submit feedback. Follow development progress on Twitch. Something like that. But then it would be this. So we do this here. And then we do oh, I guess we can do the exclamation here. Everybody likes an exclamation point, right? All right, so we got that. We say join Discord, so we want that to be a link as well. Maybe. I'm just kind of spitballing this here. I don't know if this is exactly what we want. All right, so this should not be Twitch TV Duranosaur. This should be the Discord link. How about that, huh? So we got discord.gg. Okay, so we got this still position absolute, so it should be floating on top of our game. Join our Discord to submit feedback. And follow development progress on Twitch. Yeah, something like that, maybe. Something like that. But we want those to be, I think these should be down in the bottom corner here. And maybe this is too wordy. It's too wordy, you know. It should just be like something like submit feedback, Discord. Or maybe it should just be like socials, Discord and Twitch or something. Join our blah Discord to submit feedback. Follow dev. Join. Yeah, I don't know. I don't actually know if I really like this. Maybe we just do Discord and Twitch, like that. But then this is gonna have them just side by side. Discord, Twitch. Maybe that's okay. Still have the exclamation point in there. Discord, Twitch. And we want to do, okay, so we want to do font, font style. Does that do, oh, style is that. We want to do font, family. We're just doing Arial. Arial for everything. Does it have to be in Arial? And then let's just see. Yeah, cool. That looks nice. We're doing Arial for everything. Who would have thunk? All right. Yeah, see, I don't really know what I'm doing with HTML that much. As you can probably tell. This is our entire HTML file for the whole game. And I've now like doubled it just by adding these links. Our canvas and stuff gets added on programmatically through the JavaScript, so I don't have the canvas set up in here. I do that just because I don't know, there's not really a reason not to, because the canvas gets resized on the screen updates and everything, so it's really not that big a deal to just do that. Yeah, so this is pretty cool. I do want these kind of down in the bottom though. Like we want a little like padding or something, and just down in the bottom. The size is not bad, maybe just a hair bigger. Should I do that? Font set family Arial. Font size. Let's just do something big and dial it back. 30 pixels. Is that valid CSS? That's ginormous. So 18 maybe. Nice. That's not bad there. And yeah, none of these aren't going to scale or anything fancy. I'm not doing, these are just supposed to be links. You know, they're not canvas, they're not canvas text elements. Maybe at some point in time, once we get to, you know, the more official release, I'll have like maybe like a little like widgety kind of thing that slides out. But that would all be in Canvas probably, just to have it like scale or something nicely with everything else. Okay. Yeah, maybe we need this. We need it oriented to the bottom. Is there like a simple position absolute, which is what we want? Font family Arial, font size 18 pixels. We want like a little padding to the div, like 10, 20 pixels maybe. Padding, 10 pixels. Nearest exe, bottom 0, bottom 0, right 0. Perfect. Thank you for that. Welcome to the chat, Neris. Appreciate the help with that. Yeah, I really don't know my HTML and CSS very well. You know, I know enough to do what I'm doing, but okay, so we got padding. So padding here. All right, so let's. I just want to make sure this padding looks good here first. Yes, that looks probably good. All right, so then we'll do the bottom 0, right 0. Yeah, thanks again, Neris. Not sure if it would work. Probably have to use position relative for that. Oh, hadn't used raw CSS in ages. Yeah, that's my stuff for you there. Raw. Yeah, let's see what happens. Yeah, it's gonna have to be right, because on a resize it might not work. Oh, we need a semicolon, right? Discord, Twitch, and then oh, look at that. Awesome. It works. Cool. Well, thanks, Neris, for that. That looks pretty good. And then even, you know, this is unobtrusive. I don't want this to be in the way of playing the game. Yeah, like our game zone is way out of the way. And if somebody really, our elements in the game, all right, let's not have it be 1 second long. Let's go back to our 30 seconds here. Okay, so yeah, that's not bad. Everything scales off the height. And you're never going to run into that. You know, obviously even at ridiculously small sizes, this isn't an issue. I mean, obviously if you start scaling the width down, but I don't scale this button down. I don't want that. So if somebody really wants to play with it like dinky tiny like this, which would be nearly impossible, it's not fun playing like this small. Obviously, you know, so there's other problems. So this is absolutely perfect. Maybe I'll have follow dev, Discord, Twitch. That's how you spell Discord, right? Yeah, so thanks again, Neris. I appreciate that. Appreciate that help. I would have had to Google it. And whew, you saved me, well, a couple minutes maybe of, I don't know. No, it wouldn't have taken me a couple minutes to find that, but yeah, I probably would have thought the same thing about, yeah, is it actually fix it to, because like you said, you thought maybe it had to be position relative or something, but I guess doing bottom 0, right 0 actually sets the orientation to the bottom and the right, which is nice, rather than it just like fixing it once to that position. But I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, the font's Arial, but the whole game is just using Arial, like Arial lowercase. And these are uppercase words. Maybe it would look better if I did them lowercase. See what happens. This is what I do. I spend too much time playing around with text and how that looks instead of releasing the game. Discord, Twitch. I like that better. I like that better, actually, because it fits kind of the aesthetic of the game. Yeah. And I guess, oh, I should do for these, I should do new tabs. New tabs. I think I remember that. Something on target new something. All right, I gotta Google it. HTML, open link in new tab. Target blank. Yes. Underscore blank. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that side by side here. We'll do multi-cursor. How about that? Stepping into the 21st century here. Underscore blank. Discord, Twitch. Discord opens in the new Discord. Drainosaur's Game Dev community. Drainosaur invited you to join. There's only 3 members in the Discord, so we got to get some more people in there. And we got Twitch. All right, so people can find. Okay. New Borat movie or something. Beautiful. Neris EXE is following. Hey, thanks, Neris. I appreciate it. And thanks again for the help. Yeah, I'm like you said, you haven't used raw CSS in ages, so that that's kind of atypical these days for web development and whatnot. But yeah, I'm doing this whole game kind of from scratch, and it's just my own JavaScript. And right here, this is basically all the HTML. I don't have any CSS files even. I have an index.html, and I've got a lot of JS files. But basically, my whole client folder here is just a scripts folder and index.html. And this is the index.html. Oh, and I'm going to get rid of this Roboto font. That was on my list. We don't need that. I think we don't need that. Let's just make sure, because we're using Arial for everything now. Cool. All right, everything looks pretty good. So the one thing I am, and I've started working on a bit, is maybe these should be just like a little bit bigger. Discord, Twitch. I don't know. I really like the way this looks. It just fits. Just having these little links here just fits the aesthetic really nicely. I like it. Well, so what I was saying is I am starting to look at some minification stuff, and like I'm not. It's like I'm doing this from scratch. I'm kind of just doing everything myself, just kind of keeping things minimal, not using anything more than I need. But I'm starting to look at, like some minification scripts. So obviously those don't, those are just part of my preparation for deployment and whatnot, not actually used in the game code itself, the client code itself, or the server code. But so I started working a little bit on, I've been using TraceRacer, messing around with that a little bit for the minification. And I started using Rollup.js for because I'm using all native ES6 modules for the code. So I'm taking advantage of modern browsers that let you do import and export just natively in the browser. But yeah, so right now, like if I refresh, my HTTP server is running right down here. or the output is spitting out there. So if I like refresh, you see it just, there's like 60 something JavaScript files that run, you know, that does the get for all of those. So since I have so many JS files, it's just going to be better to just bundle it. You know, I'm going to stop using my imports, the ES6 imports, and actually use rollup to cram that all into just a single JS file, and then Terser probably to. It looked like bundle has some stuff for minification. Or sorry, not bundle. Rollup. It looked like rollup.js had some minification options. But we'll see. We'll see what I end up going with here. It's basically I want the JS to just be as tiny as possible. And whatnot. But as of right now, this entire game basically just runs in the browser. So there's no... Neris, you can easily hook up Webpack. It will transform the imports by itself. Yeah, that's... I was looking a little bit at Webpack. I ended up going with Rollup. So I was looking a little bit at Webpack, and I've used Webpack for some other stuff. But Rollup accomplishes what I want. Because it does, I was just messing around with this. I can do rollup, client scripts main.js, and then output to a file, my bundle.js, and then it just does it. Did all the imports. So I think that's exactly what I want. And it's not. Yeah, I'm just going for like lowest friction, just simplest thing. I don't really want to configure anything for this. You know, I'm not trying to do a bunch of crazy stuff and support, you know, super outdated browsers, that sort of thing. So I think Rollup is kind of the nice option for me for right now. And then, yeah, so I'm probably going to be working a bit on that off stream because that's kind of, right now I'm just trying to clean up my code to get ready for my first public release. That's kind of what I'm doing right now. And hopefully by next week, I stream on Mondays and Tuesdays, 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time currently. I start at 10 a.m. Usually I go for 6 or 7 hours. Today's stream's probably going to be a little shorter. I've already been going an hour, and I might only do maybe another couple hours because I'd really like to focus on getting servers and stuff configured, whatnot, that sort of thing. So that hopefully by next Monday, people can play the game. So, yes, might have to do a little bit of cramming, but, and for my streams, I try to just keep, I just try to be working on the game, doing the JavaScript, doing interesting things with that, and me Googling and looking at servers and configuring stuff and blah, blah, blah isn't going to be super fun to stream. So, won't be fun for me. It won't be fun for anyone else, I don't think. So, yes. All right. So, I would like to, if maybe there's more people hanging out by the time I want to stop today, I might do a little more of this bundling and minifying on stream, but we'll see. I was doing this morning. But yeah, I'm really trying to just go for something super simple. Like I just want to have my raw JS, that just vanilla JS that I pump to the browser in my, from my development HTTP server. Just kind of have a super simple process. And then obviously when I go to deploy, I want to just have a single bundle JS and the single HTML file and literally just the static files, super, super basic, super not complicated at all. And then my game is a competitive game, so it is one-on-one using WebSockets. But I recently started doing a new game mode. So right now, this whole thing is existing in the browser. This whole gameplay here, popping bubbles. Whoops, I hit the wrong one. This all exists just in the browser. No WebSockets or anything going on. It's all just JS generating all this stuff and doing the animations and everything. So once I'm going to deploy just this single player version of it first, and I can get some feedback from people playing. You know, people hanging out in Twitch can just, I'll have the link ready to go and people can click it and start playing and messing around and having some fun, whatever, if it's fun. I don't know if it's even fun. And then I will start hammering on the online, the competitive 1v1 gameplay. And I added a very basic one-on-one gameplay with WebSockets for a different kind of game mode that I had previously. But now I have kind of a new format for the gameplay, and I haven't updated any of the server code for that. So, like I was saying, I want to get at least just this initial little single player version of it out. People can try it, just see how it feels, just see how it plays, whatnot, and then we'll go for the then I'll start working on and streaming the process of building out more of the server side stuff and everything. And yeah, we'll actually have a competitive one-on-one game. So yeah, but right now I'm just kind of cramming, trying to finish up my little to-dos, last-minute to-dos, and then the next few days off stream I will be trying to actually deploy the game and get it running so somebody can actually play it. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I am going to take a super quick bathroom break. Don't go anywhere. All right, and we're back. And I'm in full-on gray attire today. Gray sweatpants, gray t-shirt. Heather gray. Just for anyone curious. All right. Okay. So let's take a look at I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to do. Well, I was talking before about the title, having a title on there. So right now I don't have a name for the game. So that's one of my other tasks to figure out in the next couple days is a new name. Because I've been calling it TraceRacer. But the TraceRacer name came before I created this new game mode, a new kind of gameplay style. And tracing isn't really part of the game anymore. Like, I mean, you are, kind of moving stuff around, but the game is more about popping these bubbles, So I'm trying to think of a new name. For the game, and then maybe once we do that, we might have a name actually up here. Or somewhere. Right now we just have the play button. And it'd be nice to maybe have a name. a name on the screen. But again, this is just going to be, I'm just going to be releasing kind of just like a little public test version. So really anybody who's playing this game is going to be probably playing it because they saw me streaming it on Twitch and said, oh, I'll try this guy's game out. It looks crappy, but whatever, etc. So now I want to sift through my to-dos here and try to figure out a little more of some stuff I can clean up. Oh, I just remembered another thing I wanted to do. All right, so I got a bunch of to-dos. A lot of these don't really apply anymore. Is there a way I can, how can I view, show tree view? Oh, it duplicated all these. All right, so we're going to get rid of this bundle file here is not the minified version, so we're going to get rid of that. So I literally had double the to-dos pretty much because it was reading the bundle. Okay, can you update here? There you go. And we've got some server to-dos, but we're not doing anything with the server for the first part of the game. Okay. So we've got some stuff in animation.js to do set up on elapsed. Wish I knew what I meant by that. I'm getting rid of this because I'm going to be doing like a full-on refactor of the animation at some point of our animation class and figuring out maybe a better API for using it. Because the animation system I have is kind of cool. It works nicely. Again, all the stuff you're seeing is actually just, you know, you might think it's CSS and HTML elements, but none of this is all on Canvas. So any of the animations and everything is just pure JavaScript doing all of this stuff. So we've got a pretty nice little animation system going, but I feel like I can make it a little more robust for myself and make it a little simpler to use. Because I've kind of been building out kind of the game engine as I've been developing this game, and been adding kind of parts piecemeal as I need them. And I thought hard about how I wanted the animation stuff to work originally, and then so I have a really solid foundation for it. But I started kind of adding little extra things as I went, as I needed them. Like this reset values method here is an example of that, where you can kind of makes it so your one animation object for moving something across the screen or moving anything, doesn't have to be moving something in position, could just be animating a color or a size or whatever. I added this reset values method that lets you like reuse that same object and like change things about it on the fly, which is nice. But I didn't really think super hard about if this is the right thing to do for that. So at some point in the future, I'll be doing kind of a complete, you know, refactor of that. You know, a good example of the animation is obviously like the radius of this button here, you know, grows over time when you hover over it, right? The font, the text scales up too. That's another separate animation actually to do that. And then like all the stuff in the game, you know, there's little, actually none of this stuff is animation on here, but like this stuff moving and sliding around is animation. Our little crash marker there is animation. There's a little red ring. So that's all using this animation object, and it does different things, you know. Like you can see just in this one little graphical element here, you've got this thing, this little red circle with the black outline kind of flashing like on a sine wave kind of animation. And then this other little outline red ring is, or the little red ring that grows, you know, is animating its radius, you know, over time. Oh, and its alpha value because it fades out. So anyway, all of that was to say I'm going to be doing some deeper work on my animation class and my timer class, which is how we animation is a timer, type of timer. Anyway, let's continue parsing through these to-dos here. Clean this up differently. Actually, I kind of like the way that this works. Yeah, I kind of like this. There might be a point in time where I go through and clean. A lot of this stuff might change too once we start the, get rid of that. A lot of this kind of top level logic of the game states and everything, of the menu moving around in the game and everything. A lot of that will change once I start doing the, adding the competitive mode back in. Yes, yeah, so there's a couple comments up here that of stuff that's commented out for now. And that stuff's I'm gonna keep that. All right, so let's look at whatever we've got next here. I've got some, yes, so we've got, yeah, we've got move 2pi to a constants file. Yes, so let's do, yeah. Let's do that. Because it's not really that big of a deal, because this game is pretty lightweight anyway, but this is something that happens every frame for every circle object that's drawing on the screen. So it's calculating 2pi, you know, a bunch of times per frame. Not to mention a bunch of times, you know. So it's just kind of dumb to have that little calculation in there. Again, it's not really that big of a deal. It's not hurting performance, but it'd be nice to have 2pi up in like a constants file. For right now, I'm not going to create a constants file because I actually never did that yet, but I'm going to use my config file, which kind of is more or less the constants file. I could probably just rename it. So we're going to go with, let's see. I guess we'll have maybe this dot math. We're going to create like our own little math object in here, and then we'll have, I guess the one thing will be pi2, and that'll equal math.pi times 2. And there's a couple other spots where I'm gonna want to do that for a few things. I don't know why the JavaScript library doesn't have 2pi as like a built-in constant. Like C has like 2pi, 4pi, probably like other weird stuff too. Yeah, I don't know why they don't do that. Because 2pi radians is a full circle, right? So I mean, that's something that people would use a lot, I would think. All right, so we do 2pi. So then in our circle, we can do we'll do config dot. Is it going to import config for us here automatically? Come on. Config dot math dot. No, it's not going to import it for us. Import config from config.js. Oh, if I could type, that would be nice. So we got config.math.pi2. So this way, our config file is going to just run this calculation once for the whole game. And then there's probably some other spots where we're using 2pi. So I'm actually gonna do a quick search. Oh, so okay, so I can remove this to do now. Move setting this up to drawable. That's another to do in here. Actually, actually, I can't do this. So this can go away. I've recently changed some stuff like that. So that to do can just go away because it's more or less already kind of solved technically. All right, so where am I using math.py? Okay, so I see the config right here. That's what we want. We want math times 2. Here we're using math.py2. That's great. And then, okay, the bundle. All right, I'm going to delete this bundle file. I don't want that showing up. This whole thing is stupid. We don't need it because that was just me testing this morning, bundling it all here. Help Zanglish. Some game devs call it tau. 2pi? Tau? I guess tau is a letter. The Greek letter or something. Help Zanglish. Thanks for hanging out. You're always very insightful with the information you provide. Okay, tau. I'm just looking at the Wikipedia. Oh yeah, tau, the lowercase tau looks kind of like half of the pi. Half of pi. Maybe you can hear my wife upstairs. Our little kitten he's like a little tornado, and he likes to jump on us and scratch us. Not aggressively, he scratches out of playing, you know, like just kind of gets his claws out and whatever. So it sounded like he jumped on my wife. He likes to climb up your leg. Like if you're like standing at the kitchen counter or something, he'll like try to climb up your leg and then vault off of you to climb onto to be on the counter. Help Zanglish. Yes, I think so. Some games. Okay, yeah. So you said call it tau. Yes, I think so. Cool. I'm gonna leave it as just 2pi right now, but I'm gonna make the little mark there, and at some point I might go in to formalize some of this stuff a little bit better. So I'll leave a little comment in there. So again, thanks, help. I guess I say Zanglish, but I think you're supposed to be your name's supposed to be Help Z English. Help Z English. I think that's how your name's supposed to be pronounced, right? Okay. All right. So that's cool. Let's see what else we've got. We got a to-do in our color class here. Split this up into different methods, maybe. Oh, yes. Yeah, because I did this and it just felt kind of dumb doing it this way. I'm going to leave this to do. I'm going to leave it. It's not a big deal to worry about right now. Config. In our config file itself, to do, add ability to scale off of canvas width 2. Yeah, that's going to stay. That might be part of our new like unit space kind of coordinates that we might do for everything. Because right now I'm using kind of this weird hybrid of spacing elements out on the screen in like, I'm using kind of this weird hybrid between pixels and like a generic unit scale. Right, so like typically I would have a unit scale, like use unit positions for all of the elements on the screen, just a generic units, right? Your X units over, your Y units down, right? And then I would just have like a multiplier to convert this to scale units to pixels, right? And that scale number, that scalar would change only when you change the window size, right? I know that the stat screen doesn't scale when I change that. It's okay. I wasn't going to worry about that right now. So eventually, so right now I'm using units for certain things. Like for example, the bubble positions and everything need to be in the unit scale space because for like the competitive mode and everything, the server doesn't know what pixels are, right? The server just knows there's a bubble here, 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 right? Some sort of generic unit space positioning. So the server is going to be sending those positions down in the generic unit space, and then those get translated into pixel space for each client, right? Because the two different clients could have totally different window sizes and whatnot. Help Z English. Yeah, I guess it was inspired by movies where a character fakes a foreign accent but still speaks English. Oh, gotcha. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, you see that a lot in TV shows and everything where they don't have the budget or whatever. Help Z English. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I'm going to keep this color to do here. I'm going to keep that config to do. Cursor trail ghost. Move fade timeout to config. Move equations like this somewhere. Yeah, that's right. All these equations. Honestly, I don't really care about the equations. It's basically like this equation for this animation right here is a function. And I wanted to have like all the different equations I use for the animation to be put into a file. So it's not like saving computation at all. Because these functions, you know, would run whatever. But I was just going to have like a nice little library of all the animation equations that I use. Because you might want something to kind of move, you know, linearly or something, or move like on a curve, kind of a slow, smooth fade or whatever to animation. Like this animation here, this is like inverted. This is an inverted cubed thing. So it would move. This would like start off really aggressively moving. So this is for the, you know what? Wait a minute. This cursor trail ghost. Oh, yeah. There is. I am using that. I was going to say, maybe I got rid of that. So the cursor trail ghost is what fades out, that trail. If you see that. So like when I'm moving the mouse trail here behind the cursor and then I crash into the wall or pop a bubble, the trail kind of fades out over time like that, rather than it like just disappearing. So that's what that is. But I don't really care about moving all these equations to a config file right now. It's okay that they're inline. Okay, to do move fade timeout to config. Yes, I think I'm going to do that. Noise Minded is now hosting my stream with 6 viewers. Hey, thanks Noise Minded. I guess you're there, maybe. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thanks. I was enjoying your stream the other day, Noise Minded, about you were looking at that Radiohead video, and you were, I don't know, you were doing like some brainstorming for games. That was cool. I liked it. The terrible knowledge, the terrifying knowledge. That's what you were like brainstorming about. But yeah, thanks again for the host. I appreciate it. All right. So yeah, so this I can move to the config file right now, might as well. Okay, cursor trail ghost. So we go to our config file, which I've already closed. We go here, and do I have a cursor trail thing in here already? Cursor trail ghost fade. I guess we'll start a new little object on here. This dot cursor trail equals. We'll have ghost fade time. We'll do 500. Beautiful. All right, so once again, that was our little, it's like our 500 millisecond time for the trail following our cursor to fade out like that. So when I crash into the wall, it fades out, right? Or I pop the wrong bubble or miss a bubble or something, that fades out. It's kind of less prevalent now because I've changed the trail to be kind of this little thing that happens over time. It looks nasty when I have the console open because it's a thing in Chrome where if you do the request animation frame API for updating canvas screen, whatever, or just updating in general, it'll use your native, or it'll use one mouse. It'll like only one mouse input event will generate per frame, if that makes sense. And it might not actually be because of the request animation frame. That might just be web browsers, and that might just be Chrome in general. Nobody for now is now following. Hey. Oh, nobody for now. Got it. Hey, thanks for the follow, nobody. Yeah, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it. Oh, Noise Minded. Are you working on the same game from the other day? Yes. And little news update. Well, since I got your viewers now, Noise Minded. Now I got a few more people than I had before. Like triple the people I had before. My game is getting very close to having my public. Getting very close to releasing the public test version. I hope by my next stream, which will be Monday, I really hope to have it done. So this is a web browser game, right? So that means I have to have this up on a server, on a web server, right? So I haven't done anything with that yet for this. So I'm going to be trying to crunch off stream, try to get that ready so that people can play. Because as it is right now, I'll give a little demo now that there's more people. I feel like that would be a little more appropriate here. But basically for the game, you got to pop these bubbles in order that they appear here, right? So this is the first bubble you pop. And as you go, like more bubbles start to appear, right? So it's just kind of like, how many bubbles can you pop in the allotted amount of time? Whoa, if I don't pop the wrong bubble. So it's just a simple little skill game. And then your time runs out, and then you get some stats. So I popped 29 bubbles in 30 seconds. So I had 0.967 pops per second. I made 6 mistakes, right? Oh. The animation wasn't working on that button there. So I'll try to do a little better here because it looks a little more interesting when you play fast. So it's just kind of a little, I mean, it could be kind of like an aim trainer game. It's kind of like Osu or Osu, whatever that game is, where people hit little notes to the beats of music, whatever. It's kind of similar to that. I didn't really try. This kind of evolved more to be like Osu. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but you should add something other than color to differentiate the circles for colorblind people. Yes, that's something. You maybe mentioned it before, but other people have mentioned it on stream multiple times. In fact, I had a friend here the other day who didn't even, he was like, oh, it's cool that you're doing that, but I'm not even going to play it because he's got like severe color blindness. He's like, I can't even like try. Like, it looks cool that you're like moving the mouse around, but it's like, for him, I guess it was like all grayscale, you know? So, or something like that. I don't know about that, but so color blindedness, yeah. it's in the back of my mind, but for right now, I'm not, probably not going to be doing anything with it. So for this first test version, right? I mean, the game you see right now is pretty much what's going to be publicly available, hopefully by next week. So okay, but we'll see. So basically, I have to do some research into kind of colorblindedness things and try to figure out if there's something better to do. Something I can do better. But anyway, what else were we doing here? Yeah, so right now I'm kind of just cleaning up my code. I'm just trying to crunch through and take care of my last little to-dos and clean up things to make it ready for deployment. And honestly, I'd probably be fine with just rolling with the code as it is right now. Like I pretty much have everything except for the title screen of the game. I don't know what the name of the game is going to be yet, because I have a name that I've been referring to this game now for a while. I've been calling it TraceRacer. It's been the name of the game, but over time I've kind of changed the style of the game, and it's not really about tracing anymore. So it kind of has lost that aspect of the game, so I kind of want to change the name to something else. Like, it used to be more about like the line that you kind of had and whatever. Neris, there are only two hard things in computer science: cache invalidation and naming things. You got that right, Neris. I have heard that quote before. Yes. And this is like, this should be even easier, because this is just like the marketing name of the game, right? So yeah, I really don't know. I mean, I might go with some sort of just simpler name that maybe has to do with like popping, but at the same time too, like, I call these bubbles, these little circles that you pop, I call them bubbles, and I use the verb pop, right? But like, they don't look like bubbles. I mean, they're circles, but they don't really look like bubbles. So if I call it something about bubbles or popping, you know, it doesn't really mean anything to somebody. I do have an idea for in the future of making these bubbles look more like bubbles, like having a little reflective shine to it to make it look kind of more like a spherical bubble. Obviously still 2D graphics. And I was thinking about maybe having that like animate when you drag the mouse over it, so it kind of would like look like a bubble, like if you were to snap it, you know, like kind of pop, you know, like shake it or something, it would kind of like wiggle back and forth with like the velocity of the cursor, you know, so like that little graphic would kind of wobble or something. But that's for more down the road. Right now we're dealing with just some circles. And there's plenty of stuff that I don't like about the way it looks and everything, and I really need to eventually get to that, but for now, I think it's fine. So yeah. But yeah, I should get back to it, because I'm really trying to cram here and get stuff done to be ready for hopefully by Monday at least have something working. Okay, so the cursor trail ghost, that's what we were looking at. Where did that file go? Not there. Okay, we need to open cursor trail ghost. I just added whatever this TODOs is a plugin for for VS Code and like it doesn't, how do I open, can't I just open the file? Do I have to do this? You have to do that. So I double click the to do, that opens the file. This is just like a label for the drop down tree here. Okay, so move fade out time to config. We just did that, so we can import config from config.js, right? And our max dir is now config.cursortrail.ghostFadeTime. Beautiful, so we can get rid of this comment. It's one to do down. This to do the equations for the animation. I said I was going to ignore that for now. Having these inline is fine. Eventually, I'd like to have a nice little library of all my animation equations. But not worrying about that right now. I'm not really going to save, by doing all of that, I'm not really going to save any bytes in the size of the JS file. Not very much anyway. So it's not really worth it for now. Or there's not any real gain to be had right now by doing that. Okay, so helper to do possibly implement alternate formula from Wikipedia. I did that yesterday, actually. That's for our HSL color to converting to RGB color. So this is like that formula I basically copied from Wikipedia on how to do that. And there was an alternate formula on Wikipedia that sounded like it was maybe faster to use, but I didn't really dive into it. And honestly, there's nothing really slow about this anyway in terms of, you know, in terms of the code actually itself. Like this is still going to run blazingly fast and whatnot. And this is not code that runs every single frame either. So we really don't need to worry about that. But yeah, we added our nice HSL, so you can convert a hue, saturation, lightness, a color in that format to an RGB color. Because that's how we generate our random colors for all the bubbles without getting any that are too close to the blah, blah, blah. Without picking any two colors that are too similar. So like on screen, you're never going to see any colors that kind of collide with one another. Like, yeah, we got some different greens there, but you know, all these bubbles are pretty distinct colors. Unless you're colorblind, you might have some trouble. But I'll get to that at some point. If nobody plays the game, if nobody's interested in the game, then I might not add it, but I might not spend time working on the colorblindedness aspect of it, but we'll see. All right, so that takes care of our helper JS. One bug that I'm gonna, well, it's not really a bug, it's a feature. This total time, so if you let the game play, so right here we're doing our real time 30 seconds, right? But if you like open a new tab or something, basically what'll happen is when you switch back to the new tab or switch back to that tab, so I'll try to let more than 30 seconds play out here. But if we go back to the new tab, basically our code is kind of paused, like our animation loop is paused. And that's something that happens with the request animation frame API in browsers. Like that's part of the specification. So if you've got something running a request animation frame loop, it will pause when you switch tab, when you go to a different tab or minimize the window or whatever. And then the problem is with my game, now that I've let more than 30 seconds pass, because the 30 seconds is how long you have to pop as many bubbles as you want. If we go back, now time's up immediately, but now our total time's 58 seconds. Because what happened is I switched to that new tab, and then our timer paused, right? But then when I switched back to the tab, it resumed, but then it checked, so it paused, but then the new frame time came in. The very next frame time came in whenever we clicked that, or not the frame time, but the time that the window has been up. I'm not explaining this very well, but just roll along with me here, if you don't mind. So like the time that our tab has been running is now like well beyond, you know, it's been closer to 60 seconds, right, or whatever. So as soon as I switch back, it takes that next time from the API, from the request animation frame API, and then it basically registers like one really long frame that ran like 20 seconds. And then that time gets added into our total time. So we end up with 58 seconds now that we like, I didn't explain it very well. I could, but I'm trying not to take too much time. But basically, it's kind of a known issue. But if anybody decides to play the game, then you switch to a new tab and then come back later, I don't know. It's a known issue. And I'm not really going to spend time right now figuring that out. And really, that's only an issue with the pure practice single player mode, because that's happening just in the browser. But when you go to the competitive mode, where the server is the one keeping track of time, the server is going to, you know, end the time and then spit that back down to the client, and then yeah, like if you're off tab while the server's sending messages, the server will send those messages to the tab and it'll queue those up. And then as soon as you go back to the tab, then it will process all of those. And then the game will end and it will say like 30 seconds, right? Because that time will be coming from the server, not from the client, not be calculated on the client. So anyway. Okay, so that was the helper JS. We've not worrying about that right now. That's something I'll keep in and address later. For our marathon, which is our game mode, which that's another thing, renaming this to a different thing, but I don't care about that right now. Okay, this one is for the bubble gen timer. I'm gonna keep this in here because I might end up doing some gameplay modifications down the road, and I might want to reuse this code that I have here. What else do we have? To do, replace this with something to selectively stop listening to specific events. I'm going to keep this in here, this to do. It's not something that's changing anything right now, but yeah, at some point in the future. And we got one more to do, destruct bubbles. So where is this one? Destruct bubbles, question mark, question mark. Yeah, because technically the bubbles are already destructed by this point. But I think I'm going to leave this in here anyway. There's no reason to get rid of it. So we're done with that. We've got some to-dos here in Marathon Bubble. To-do, replace this is, okay, that's the same thing as the other one. We're not going to worry about that. To-do, move this stuff into config. Okay, I do want to look at that. So that is, this is going to stay. I'm not going to worry about dumping colors for everything into our config file right now. Basically, like this little object here for the RGB color for this thing, for our cursor trail, which is black. Oh, in fact, no, never mind. Basically, this little like anonymous object that I'm generating here, I want this to be a in our config file, like our constants/config file, but that's something I'm not going to worry about right now. Let's see here. What else do we have? Match. Okay, match is from the old game mode, so I really don't care about that anymore. Nav meter. Recalculate these on screen resize. Yes, that's already done. So that to do is gone. Oops. All right, array of nav bulb. We don't need that comment in there. I know what that is. Okay. I think that little comment there was for when I had a different name for stuff. All right, so what? Where were we here? Match, play. Okay, that one's gone, right? Play area. To do. This is currently overriding circle.draw and shouldn't be. Move line width to config. That's something I want to do, but I'm not going to worry about. To do, this is currently overriding circle.draw, and it shouldn't be. Okay, actually, there's a little bit of an issue with that, but I'm going to leave it. This is stuff I need to clean up later, but I'm not going to clean it up before our... It's going to be a little... If I change this, it's going to change some other things, so I don't want to deal with that right now. And it's going to be just fine for our initial version. All right, I'm going to take a quick bathroom break. I know, I just did. Don't worry. My bathroom's just like 15 feet over that way. I'll be back in a second. Don't go anywhere. Unless you really want to, of course. I can't stop you. All right, I'm back. Today we're going full gray boy here. Heather gray sweatpants, heather gray t-shirt. But I'm getting a little chilly, so I'm going to put my pullover hoodie back on here. Should I just go like this the rest of the stream? All right. Okay, we're back. Can minimize that. Oh, that's right. We were working on clearing up all these 2Pis. Because config auto import. Yeah, now the config auto imports. Come on. VS Code. All right, so we got, where is that? Math. Config.math.pi2. And his help, Z English pointed out, it's probably called tau. Referred to as tau. Basically pi times 2. So 6.22, 3.14, 6.28 something. 6.28, we'll say that, right? How many digits of pi can you recite? And then multiply it by 2 and recite that. All I know is 3.14159. That's as far as I got. Hi. Oh, hang on one quick second here. All right, I'm back. My wife was just heading off to work. Had to just say goodbye quick. Somebody's got to make the money around here, right? Certainly isn't me. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously though, I went part-time with my current job, actually. With my current IT and development job, and to start streaming kind of part-time. So I'm doing Mondays and Tuesdays. I do those I try to do 6 to 7 hours of streaming on Mondays and Tuesdays. I usually start at 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time, just for future reference. And my wife is actually the one who was really pushing me to go part-time too, so I'm not just a lazy bum who wants to try to make video games all day. Kind of am, but we're trying to get to our first public test version, so we might have something deliverable. We might have something tangible for the fans. I don't know how many fans I have, but I got a couple subscribers. I guess those guys would be fans, right? Retro MMO and Ecton Dev. And my wife is a subscriber. All right. Okay, so yeah, actually before I wanted to confirm the 2Pi thing, and I got derailed a bit on that. Oh, the JS Fiddle stuff. I forgot about that. I need to get rid of that. I don't care about client. Anything that's in client old, I don't care about. Play area size. We just fixed that, so that's using our config.math.pi2. Here is using quarter pi. Oh, this is the old code, the old hourglass code. So that's fine. Let's see. Yeah, we just fixed this. We've got 8 times pi times t. I will move that. I'll move 8 times pi. I'll do pi 8. I'm going to add that to our config file right now, because that gets calculated every frame. We don't need that. So this is pi 8 math. I'm just adding these as I need them, because you might be like, well, why don't you have pi 4 in there? Or 4 pi, I should say. Well, I don't need 4 pi right now. If I get to that point and I need it, I'll do it. But yeah, so basically my config file here is kind of like a constants file, like kind of like, you know, any numbers that get used a bunch, any mathematical constants, right? Like pi, like 2 pi, right? Or pi. Pi is already built into the JavaScript library, so I'm just using that. And then I'm multiplying it by 2 once. So that happens once. And then, hey, wait a minute. Help Z English. You're making me think here. Is there a math.tau? No. Math.highpi. Oh, VS Code is not. Anyway, I don't care enough to worry about that right now. Yeah, so basically I'm just calculating 2 times pi, and I'm putting that in a variable, and that gets calculated once when the game starts, you know, when the web page loads, and then it'll get used a bunch of times throughout the lifetime of the game. And then pi 8 is also going to do that same thing. It's going to get used a bunch. The pi 8 is happening, 8 pi is being used for my little sine wave animation for this, for that little red flashing thing there. It's flashing on a sine wave, so it's like when it's at the top of the sine wave, it's full red. When it's at the bottom of the sine wave, it's fully transparent, right? So it's like sine waving up and down between its colors, right? So I'm doing 8 pi to cram a sine wave into a space between 0 and 1, so that it does, if that makes sense at all, I don't know. I can show that here real quick. If we fire up the old Desmos here, basically my animation system works that time you know, so if you start an animation, you pass in a duration, right? And then the equation that you're going to run to generate your animated value is representing the x-axis is time. So 0 on the x-axis represents the start of your animation, and 1 represents when your animation finishes, right? Now you can plug any number you want in there. That can be, you know, 200 milliseconds. It can be 200 seconds. It can be 1 second, right? So you plug that number in, and then y equals x. Yeah, so if we do just like a linear y equals x, right, we'd have some animated value over time, whereas time is going up the output of our y value. So along our y-axis, that is our, that's the value we wanted animated, right? So in the case of a linear thing here, that's not very exciting at all. It starts getting a little more exciting when you do y equals x squared. And now you've got an animation that's like, the thing's going to start off a little slower and then get faster over time, right? And then it's going to feel kind of fast at this point, but it's going to start out a little slow, right? And then what I was doing was this crazy shebang where I was doing, if you do y equals sine of x, let's hide these. If you do y equals sine of x, you get a sine wave, right? Wow, cool. Actually, it is cool. I'm not downplaying it. But if you want to cram a full, so the problem is, like a sine wave goes, my animation system works between 0 and 1. It basically works inside of this little square, right? So time is going to go from 0 to 1. It won't go beyond 1 ever. It can be whatever length of time you want. It can be, this can be 200 milliseconds. This can be 1 second. It can be 200 seconds. Whatever time you want, you specify. But the animation has to live within this space. So typically you always want some sort of start. You want your y value to start at 0 typically here, just like this does. So we got this part right. But we usually want it to end where x equals 1, y should equal 1 typically, right? It's like when we did our parabola here, that's what we get. It's perfect, right? 0x equals 0y. And then we end up with where y equals, or where x equals 1, y equals 1. You know, that's awesome. But the sine wave shebang here, we want to like cram part of this sine wave into this little square, right? So that's going to give us basically our alpha value is going to be from, you know, where y, along the y-axis, this is going to be our alpha 1 and alpha 0, so our transparency, right? So the closer we are to 0, the more transparent we are. Closer we are to 1, the more opaque we are. So if I do sine of x, but we could plug pi in here, right? So this is where it gets slightly more interesting. If we do pi x, that gives us this little deal here. So we're getting slightly more interesting. Now we've got like this thing where we start at 0, we go all the way up to 1 at the middle. So like when we're halfway through our animation in time, we'll be like fully transparent or fully opaque here. And then we go back down to transparent. So we kind of want something like that, but a little more. So if we divide by 2, right? Okay, yeah, so if we divide this by 2, now we've slammed our sine wave down into some sort of number between 0.5 and negative 0.5. And we just need to add a 0.5 here. Now we're really getting somewhere. Well, not really. I have to do something extra. But now we've crammed our sine wave into something where we're fitting it in between the space of 1 and 0, which is cool. So we're getting somewhere for our animation system. But we need to do something else to make it, and I don't remember what I did yesterday. We do, what, 8? Okay, so yeah, as we like multiply values here, we're fitting way more periods of the sine wave into our space, which is cool because we can just like scale that up a bit more, right? Whoops, 232. You have to really zoom in to see that. So that wouldn't be very useful probably. So I think I plugged in 8, yeah, because we're doing 8 pi. That's what I ended up with for our actual animation here. So it should flash 4 times, I think. Yeah, I think you see it flashing 4 times, and then it's going. basically something like showing visible here, then invisible, visible, invisible, visible, invisible, visible, invisible. But then there's another little tweak we need to do to actually line this up, because we don't want it to start at 50% transparent. If where x is 0, y is 0.5. That's not good. We want it to start completely invisible. So we do something else where we have to shift this. I don't remember what we ended up doing. Divide it? No. I don't remember what we ended up doing, but you can kind of see where we're getting. Nearest sine of pi over 2 times x. Let's see what that is. I'll plug it in. I'm already done. Nearest, I'm already actually done with this. I'm just kind of explaining what I did, but I'll plug in your number here. Gotcha. Okay, so that, yeah, that, yeah, this is like stretching it way out. So basically with my animation system, everything needs to exist in here, because this 0 represents the start of our animation, 1 represents when our animation finishes. So we need, if we want anything to animate, we got to fit it all into that square. Oh, without the rest. Yeah, let's see what we got here. Gotcha. Yeah, so this, let's see, what is this doing here? This is doing pi over 2 times x. We got 1. What is y equals x pi x? Or y equals sine of x? Oh, right. Oh, you're fitting. Okay, gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, what I was trying to do was cram everything into this. But I already did that. I was just kind of explaining for anyone who's interested what I was kind of doing. And I was doing a bad job of explaining it because I'm trying to go fast. And but anyway, all of that was to say that's why I'm using 8 pi as a constant. Because I'm cramming a tight little sine wave into my tiny little animation slot there. So, okay. Now that I did this, did I actually start using it in the equation? Oh, that's interesting. I was using it there in this other example. 8 times pi. Okay, so this is a commented out equation here. I'm not using that. So this is the one I'm using. So this 8 times pi needs to be now replaced with config.math.pi8. Pi 8 times t. Brilliant. That's exactly what we wanted. Okay. And is there anywhere else? What I wanted to do is look for anywhere else where we're calculating like 2 pi or something. And we don't want to be. Okay, so this is the config math. Okay, that's right. This is half pi. What is this? Cursor crash position marker. Oh, yeah, we're doing half pi. So this equation here is what I was trying to plug into Desmos just before into our graphing calculator. This is a little function that takes our x value in. It's called t in this case for time. And then, actually, I don't know if that's why t is used for time. Nearest, and now the same for half pi. Yes, exactly. Yeah, so I want to throw this into our config, and I guess I'll call that half pi, pi half. So let's go to config. I guess we'll start with, move that up to the top, and we'll call it pi half, math.pi over 2. Oops. And we go back to here. Config.math.pi half. I like that rhyme there. Cool. That's what we want. And again, I was talking before about getting all these equations into like our config file too, or having like a equation constants kind of thing. So like storing all of these functions into, because a lot of them get reused. This specific function here wouldn't really get reused, but it'd be nice to just have all those functions for all of our different little equations, or for all our different little animations to be just in one little nice place. But I don't really care about doing that right now. So let's just check through our search of math.py. So here's everywhere where we're using math.py, or using our config.math.py. I should change this to match whole word. Yeah, there we go. So here I'm doing another 8 times pi, but this is a commented out thing. I don't really need to fix that. Oh, quarter pi. We're using oh, that's from the old file. I don't care about that. Okay, this is from an old file. Don't care about that. This is from an old file. Don't care about that. So we're good. We are good. So what's next now? We were looking at our play boundary thing, our play area class. And I said I didn't want to take care of these 2 to-dos here because it's going to kind of imply some other things that I need to take care of, and changing that would be not something I want to spend time on right now. So this is kind of fine. Valid cursor drag moved. To do, maybe this will get moved to the rule set instead. Check hit could emit play area boundary broken. I'll still keep this note here just for like future reference, this to do here. Not something I need to try to fix right now or deal with, but yeah, there's just some other kind of future-y kind of things. All right, so we're going down to player input now. Maybe have this alternate with cursor drag move. Let's see what I'm trying to do here. Cursor drag moved, cursor moved. Maybe have this alternate with cursor drag moved. Oh, I know what I'm saying here. So I shouldn't have drag moved and cursor moved fire at the same time. Because if the mouse is dragging, this doesn't even matter anymore. For the game. For the game, at least. For the engine, technically, yes, it does. But ooh, that kind of makes me think about something here. Let me test something out here real quick. CLG. Interp. So let me make sure. So basically I have to interpolate between, to avoid like collision issues. Oh boy, what's happening here? All right, something broke. Now we're not showing. Oh, I think I know. We never finished the mouse the cursor trail thing. Or did we change something? Cursor trail. All right, we broke something. Let's see, cursor trail ghost. Oh, okay. No, this should be good now. Ghost fade time. Unless I spelled something wrong here. No, ghost fade time property. That should be fine. All right, I broke something. Let's see. Color, that's good. Points. Oh, never mind. That's not. All right, what happened to our mouse cursor trail here? If we move really slow, interp shouldn't be firing, right? Yeah. Okay. All right, let's see why we are not getting cursor trail. Cursor trail, cursor drag stopped. Valid cursor drag moved. Listener, point stop push. Okay, CLG. Let's just make sure that stuff is firing. Object is not defined. Cursor trail JS31. Oops, I didn't actually punch something in. Cursor. Yeah, so that's good. Did I like break something by doing? I feel like I added my console log here, but that doesn't make sense that that would disrupt anything. Yeah, so I changed something else that broke it. Great, what did I change to break this? Well, what I wanted, okay, so I wanted to, what I was doing right before I realized the cursor trail was broken is we were testing this event, cursor drag moved interp, make sure that that was still going. And then our bubbles, I want to make sure the bubbles are checking those events. Bubble. Oh, now it's called marathon bubble. Okay. Yeah, cursor drag moved interp, check traversal. Okay, so that's all fine and dandy. Oh yeah, I ended up just, to avoid not breaking the code, I ended up keeping this drag moved name, even though that doesn't really apply anymore. That's something else to look at some point, but doesn't matter for right now. All right, why did our cursor trail disappear? Okay, let's go to cursor. Oh, you know what? I bet you I broke. No, that couldn't be it. PI runtime filter blah 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 time buffer. Okay, something changed. CLG this dot points mouse input timestamps. All right, let's see. Oh, yes, that's a problem. Okay, so I did screw up something with, we're basically not, CLG. Oh, I know what I did. Okay, so I just realized I already have an object in the config for cursor trail that had a time buffer property, but I just created the cursor trail object again because I didn't really see it. So I created a second cursor trail object down below in the file where I added the time for the fade of the trail of the ghost. And that is now overridden, so now our time buffer is undefined. So that would mean I should copy and paste this. So I added a little this.cursorTrail object here, but there's already one somewhere else up in the file. So this one was overriding the one that's up here somewhere. Where is that? Cursor trail. I have it right here. So I have this time buffer property that lets you have like that little delay of the trail behind for like 75 milliseconds. Okay. There we go. So that should fix everything. Now we got a trail. And we should still have a nice little fade out and everything. Everything's working. Fantastic. All right. Yeah, we're working on just terribly exciting stuff today, aren't we? Aren't we? I'm all out of water, too. How long have we been going here? 2 hours, 16 minutes? Okay. Today was going to be a shorter stream. I'm still going to keep going for maybe another hour or so. But I kind of told myself, like, I should probably just do, like, 3 hours of streaming and then today and then focus on. Because normally I would do 6 or 7 hours of streaming. But I need to focus on actually getting server and stuff and paying money to do that. And once I create a name for this game, buying a domain, that'd be a good start, wouldn't it? Or naming the game would be a good start. Just like coming up with a name. That'd be great. And then, yeah, so I need to do kind of like some stuff like that, and it's not really going to be interesting to stream, nor would I really want to stream it, because there might be some, you know, some private stuff in there, if you know what I mean. So some stuff that, you know, the public can't see and whatever with all of that process of getting that set up. So, you know, I'm going to have to pay for things with like a credit card or something, right? So don't need to have any of that stuff on stream. Plus, it would be really boring, and I really don't know what I'm doing with a lot of that stuff, so I kind of have to figure it out as I go, so that would also be boring. But I'm going to keep streaming for the time being. We're maybe going to go for another hour or so, see how long it takes to clean stuff up and or at least if there's any little dusty things that I can kind of sweep under the rug, you know. So yeah. That being said, let's keep going here. All right, so we fixed this little cursor trail dealio. That is all fine and dandy. We have, let's keep going with our to-dos, I guess. We had, what did we do? We just did the player input thing. Maybe have this alternate with cursor drag moved. Not going to worry about that to-do for right now. Round creator, this is an old file. So part of one thing we'll do today is also moving our old files out to like another directory or something. To do these magic values need to get moved to config. Yeah, that is all old anyway. Scoreboard. This is an old file now. And it won't. This is the old, for my old competitive game mode. This was to keep score between you and the other player. For how many rounds. The old game mode was round based, so you'd play one-on-one against somebody, and whoever won, it was basically set up so that you'd whoever popped like 5 bubbles faster won the round. So it was like a very bursty kind of mode versus this, which is now just like you just keep going, you just keep popping bubbles for as long as you can, just cranking away, popping bubbles. And the other game mode was just 5 bubbles, and then whichever player popped 5 bubbles first won, right? And you'd play like 20 games or something, like best of some even number, best of 11 or something. And so then there would be like amount of rounds won. So it'd be just these 5 bubble pop rounds, and then that was it, whatever. but that was kind of boring. So I stopped using that because that was like just popping 5 bubbles real fast and then having to wait for the next round to come, which it would be pretty quick. I mean, it would be like a second in between rounds, like literally 1,000 milliseconds in between rounds. The server would send a new round right away to the players, but it was very, I don't know, even 1 second of time, it was annoying. Right, so this new game mode is just very continuous. You just keep going for 30 seconds, just popping bubbles, popping. Right, and I mean, when I get going pretty fast, I can get up to 2.5 bubble pops per second. You know, if I'm really hauling. So that's fun. That it's like a very not consistent, very continuous, gameplay. So I can just like keep going and whatever until I mess up, right, and break my awesome streak. So anyway, that was all to talk about just this scoreboard thing. This is why I never get anything done, because I always explain everything too much detail. So yeah, basically this scoreboard.js file is from the old game mode. We're going to be taking care of the old files in a little bit. Timer, yeah, there's a few things in my timer. Oh, what? Why is that happening? Why is it opening this lowercase? You see that? Get out of here. Okay. Yeah, that's bad. All right, the to-dos for this I'm going to leave. This destruct on elapse thing, I was mentioning before I need to kind of clean up my animation system at some point, or I'd like to more formalize the API for that. And kind of think a little more about how I want to clean it up. So the timer is going to be part of that, as part of cleaning up that animation and everything. So I'm going to keep all of these to-dos in here for that. Maybe figure out a better way to pause without checking every tick. Yeah, that's another part of what I want to do with that kind of refactor and everything. All right, so now we've got WebSockets wrapper. This file is not going to be used at all in the first in our first test release of this. This will be once I add the competitive mode to the gameplay and everything, then this will come back into play, but it's not going to be there for right now. Global events. Start using this instead of strings. Yes. Yes, do I want to do this right now? So what I mean by this global events thing is basically all my in-game events, the names of them are strings, right? Cursor drag stop. Here's an event right here. But when you do when you fire off an event, when you emit an event, so this here is specifically the listener. I'm configuring the event listener, which is a function that listens to this cursor drag stopped event, right? So this is for our cursor trail. So particularly what this does is whenever the cursor crashes or something, forgive the name cursor drag stopped because that name doesn't technically apply anymore. So that's another thing I have to do at some point. So I have my event names are all strings. And then when the event gets emitted, gets fired off by something else, basically it's doing like a string comparison to see which event was fired, right? It's comparing the string of the event that was emitted to like the list in my global event handler. And I'm comparing strings, which is just kind of nasty. I mean, that's a lot longer to do than comparing like integers or something, right? Because it's literally comparing every single byte. That is, unless JavaScript does something with these strings in the background, and that could be too. You know what V8 does, what the browser might do with the strings is it might actually turn them into integers of some kind and do, I don't know. That could be too, but I think it would actually be doing a byte for byte comparison, right? So this is, comparing the strings together. which is not good, right? This could instead be done with just one little integer, one byte comparing to another byte, and then it would be an integer versus an integer, and then if they match, then we're good. But here it's comparing, 14 bytes or however many we've got here. So that's also something, basically I wanted to move all of these into kind of like an enum. So this cursor drag stopped would be like a name that we import from our events list, and then, which would be like an object. And then I could type in my name, my full name, cursor drag stopped, as like an object, but it would be actually just pointing to an integer. So then you'd end up just comparing integers rather than comparing strings. So instead, this would read more like event would be, maybe we'd call this E. I didn't want to do that. That was stupid. It auto imports when you don't want it to, and it doesn't auto import when you do want it to. So I'd maybe like import my events list as like E, capital E, right? So it'd be E cursor drag stopped or something like that. E.cursor drag got stopped. And then this would be just an integer. But then in my code, I could use, kind of this nice full name. Then we'd have our listener still here. Whatever. But it'd be like just this name now for the event name in the code instead of a string, right? Because the string is the actual value that's getting checked against. But instead here, I'd be using just an integer. So I don't know if I want to do that right now, because the string comparison really isn't, my game's not very heavy, like in terms of computation and everything. And I think even on a slow computer, this game's going to run plenty fine. And if anything, our limiting factor is going to be the draw calls happening to the renderer. That's going to be the limiting factor, not not comparing a string. Because what's happening with that is the number of like times that you draw something to the canvas, that can end up, like the more things you're drawing, that can really stack up fast and overwhelm the CPU, even if you're using a game with just very basic graphics and everything. But if you're firing off a lot of drawing things to the screen, it will really screw stuff up. Gab Coco TV, hello fellow developers. How's it going, Gab? Thanks for hanging out. Speakers went off there. Yeah, welcome. Welcome, Gab. So, all of that long explanation was just to say I'm not gonna worry about these strings for the event names for right now. I think I'm just gonna leave them. Because like I was saying, the way JavaScript, the way like V8 or something works in the browser in the background might already be like converting these strings into like integers to keep track of things, So when I do a string comparison in JavaScript, it might actually be doing some sort of integer compare. So there might not be any performance gain to be had by using these as integers instead. It's basically what I was trying to say. Oh, missing a semicolon there. There we go. So did we make it through all the to-dos that we wanted to do? There's obviously still a bunch of to-dos. A bunch of these are duplicates. Yeah, I think that was all the to-dos that we're going to care about for right now. So let's actually, what I think I'm going to do now is start to remove. I want to remove like our dead code imports and stuff. Because I'm not sure if when I do my bundling of all the code together, if those will go through or not. But either way, we might as well clean them up just because it'll be better. So I think we're just going to go file by file and clean all those up. So I'm literally just going to close all of these. Is there a way to just close this? Close all. Oh, close all saved. Yeah, I'm going to keep this for future reference. All right, so we're going to go file by file here. And are we using animation 2D at all? Okay, so animation, we're not using any dead imports. Animation 2D, we're not using any dead imports, but I want to see if I'm using animation 2D. Using that file at all. Animation 2D. Hourglass old and progress indicator. Progress indicator. Is progress indicator being used? What are we animating in 2 dimensions for here? We're setting the position of this circle in 2 dimensions. All right, this might not be used currently, but I don't think that's a problem. All right, I'm gonna use the bathroom again. I know I just went. Go easy on me, guys. We'll be back in a second here. All right, we are back. Yes, I did wash my hands. Don't worry. I know that was kind of a quick bathroom break, but I washed my hands. My bathroom's just right. It's like 15 feet over there. You probably still hear the toilet running because I flushed. I flushed too. I know you might not believe me, but I did. All right, so let's look at this little file right here. Is me messing around with some more future kind of stuff for trying to think about how I want to send like the data from the client and the server back and forth. So I was kind of messing around with doing some of the JavaScript typed arrays here because I think my client is probably going to be sending just raw bytes to the server and vice versa. So I was just kind of messing around with some Scratch code there. But that'll come later once we actually really start working on that. All right, so we're going file by file here. And I also want to take a look at the files that I'm going to move. Because there's a bunch of unused files in here. All of my JavaScript files just live in one folder, live in this scripts folder, right? And there's like 60-something files in here right now, I believe. So there's quite a few. But a lot of these ones can actually get, well, not a lot, but several of these files are no longer being used. Like here's animation old. I can actually straight up delete that file and not care because I no longer refer to it. I copied it here because I was like referring to it as like, wow, I commented a lot in here. So I'm actually just going to straight up delete this file. And some of these other ones I'm probably going to move to like another client old folder, just so I kind of keep them handy for future reference. Okay, so what I was going to do is write down actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to delete or move them as we find the ones that we don't want. Or no. But we're going to do this in 2 steps. All right. We're going to do this in 2 steps. I'm just going to go down the... No, we're not. We're not. I know what you're thinking. Jared, get it together. Come on. I know. I'm trying. All right. So what I'm going to do is just write down in Notepad the files that are old and I want to move. So I'm going to test in 2 different steps because I'm going to clear out all my dead imports and then move the files separately, just so I can test in between there and make sure I didn't break anything. All right, so we're going down the list here. We got animation, animation 2D, application, and we've got main menu and in-game menu. Actually, I'm going to comment out. No. Actually, I'm going to get rid of these altogether because they are long gone now. Never mind. I'm just going to comment out these imports for these. They've been replaced, but I just might want to keep these around for handy reference at some point in the future. So playing it safe. All the other stuff's commented out about those. So yeah. Because, yeah, there is some stuff I might want to reference when we get back to the competitive mode. But commenting out the imports is good for now, because that's something I want to avoid for when I'm going to bundle all these JavaScript files into one and minify. So it'll just be one JavaScript file all smashed up into one little thing. So I want to make sure that my imports are all capiche and that we're not importing any extra code that doesn't need to be there or whatever. And not like I even think that'll make much of a difference. But, okay, so bubble, copy. That's going, whoops. Oh my goodness. Bubble, copy. Okay. Officially can't type. Bubble, copy. That's going to get moved. I'm still going to get rid of these imports either way. Bubble copy. We got bubble. That's also old now. So just bubble is going to get moved as well. mlooky3. Good luck with your programming. Hey, thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out, mlooky. All right, bubble creator. This file I can really delete because obviously it doesn't do anything. Button. Okay, so this is our new button. All of our imports look good. Button wrapper. I'm going to do 2 things here. I'm going to do button wrapper, question mark, because I'm going to have to come back and test that later. So button wrapper is basically a class for my game that wraps around an HTML button. So you can kind of programmatically create HTML buttons. It's like I'm doing HTML button, this document create element button, setting some stuff, some positioning and position absolute. And then you can basically, within the game engine, I can place a button around somewhere on screen, an actual HTML button. And I've replaced that now with my new button system, which is built just right into Canvas. That's what these are here. So these are not HTML buttons. These are just circles that when the mouse cursor is over top of them, it expands, whatever, have a little animation, a little hover animation. So I basically had to build a whole button API to do that. So I'm no longer using this button wrapper class for anything, but I don't think I want to do anything with this in the client, but this is something for kind of the engine that might be nice to have around for future reference, right? Especially for if I'm working on like another game at some point with this engine, you know, I might want to just have some buttons that I can create really fast, have them on screen, and do some stuff with them pretty simply. So we're going to keep that around, button wrapper for right now. Canvas wrapper, that's an important one. That looks good. No bad imports or anything there. Circle looks good. No bad imports. Color, good. No imports. Yeah, that one to do to change this, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Config, that doesn't import anything because it's a singleton that has all our constant values. Countdown timer, that looks all good. Cursor crash indicator, okay. We got one color import here. We'll get rid of that. We'll keep these crazy equations here. That was the equation from Weemy on stream a while back. So we're keeping that in there for fun. When I minify the scripts, the comments and stuff will get removed. So I can keep in my source files, I can keep all of these comments and everything, but obviously the stuff that goes to the client will be shrunk. Gab, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Yeah, and thanks for hanging out and saying hi and everything. Gab, you said fellow developers, so I assume you're obviously a developer. You do web development. I mean, most people that find me, they see JavaScript in the title of the stream or whatever. So most people that kind of hang out are web developers or in that world. You don't have to answer my question, Gab, if you don't want to either. No pressure. Gab, C++, and I'm learning web dev, Vue.js. Gotcha. Cool. Yes, that's awesome because I'm trying to do some C and C++ as well, trying to learn more, and so I stream from time to time in C and C++. I was trying to build a little console. It's probably broken right now. I'll show it. Nope, not this. Just trying to build a little console application, some ASCII art, and it might be in the middle of it might be broken right now. Oh, actually, let's open this with VS Code. How about that? So I was trying to have like my little be right back message for when I go to the bathroom and stuff. I wanted to like print that to the console in ASCII art and have it look really cool. And I'm in the middle of doing stuff. Let's see what happens here. If I run brb.exe, probably will look terrible. Okay, never mind. I'm just printing my own name. There you go. Jared. That's me. All right, so never mind. I was going to show you that, and it was going to be cool, but whatever. Yeah, so I'm trying to do C and trying to do that. Eventually, I want to get into really doing some game development in C and that sort of thing. But we'll see. All right, so all right, what are we on now? We just did cursor crash indicator, right? I think. Yeah, we did cursor crash position marker. That's a new file. Oh, and I got some magic numbers here. I was gonna say hard-coded numbers. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I should move these. These should get moved to the config file. So let's do that real quick. Split the screen and have config over here for right now. So do I have anything for cursor? Cursor. Okay. Cursor indicators, I guess. Cursor effects. We'll call it cursor effects. We're gonna have a new little object here. This dot cursor effects going to equal, we'll call this crash position marker radius. We're gonna say 10. Brilliant. But yeah, Gab, I was gonna say if you're so if I'm ever doing a C stream in C or C++ and you're hanging around in the future, I'll probably be hitting you up for some knowledge. Or do you do games, Gab? All right, what do we cursor position marker radius 10. Yes, that's what we want. So we've already got config imported here. So let's do config.cursor effects dot crash position marker radius. Brilliant. Who would have thought it could be that easy? All right, so that looks good. We don't have any dead imports here. I'm going to leave config up here just in case I find anything else going forward. Oh, I should move this. Yeah. And our Z indexes and stuff, our Z indices, I'm not putting those in the config file right now. That's something, yeah, I'd like to get to, but. Okay, cursor effects, we have crash. This would be crash position marker. Anim time, I guess we'll call this 1,000. Well, my stomach's making some noise here. Guess I'm getting hungry. It's already 1 p.m. my time. All right, I've been going for 2 hours 47 minutes. I gotta pound through this because I told myself I don't really want to go more than 3 hours maybe today. So, okay. So this is gonna be cursor marker anim time. Okay, brilliant. That's great. Yeah, we already did our nice pi 8 thing there today, and pi half. We did that. That's cool. Just separate that out so it's a little easier to see. Okay. Okay. I think we are done with cursor crash position marker. Config, we'll save that. Let's just test the game here quick. I should be doing that periodically to make sure I don't screw anything up. Because as we saw before, I screwed up the cursor trail thing. And, whoops. I screwed up the cursor trail and everything looked bad. Okay, so that's what we were just tweaking there. That looks good still. Game plays fine, I think. Yep. X, okay. Brilliant. All right, so what were we on there? Cursor position marker. So we got cursor effect manager now. Yeah, we're doing colors. We're doing colors in line here. I think that's fine. I haven't moved colors to my configuration file yet, to our constants file. So that's fine. Everything looks good there. We do import config and we don't need to, so we'll get rid of that import. Wait, did I check the imports on here? Yes, I did. All right, cursor input types. That's an old file. Deleting that. Cursor trail. Looks good. Just a little quick look to see if there's anything else that could be done better there. Don't think so. Cursor trail ghost. Yeah, the equation could get moved. That's right, but we're not worrying about that right now. Debuggable. Okay, that's a good point. The debuggable stuff. Yeah, that's one thing I'm going to want to check. So put this in we got button wrapper. We're going to say this is move these files. And then up here, we're going to say check these files. So we got button wrapper and we got debuggable. So the debuggable thing here is I have a little built-in class and everything to like easily throw some debug values up on screen in the canvas. And obviously that kind of stuff shouldn't go down. It doesn't need to get bundled with the client, with the client, the code, the JavaScript that'll actually get sent to the production client. So I need to just double check this stuff and make sure that none of this shows up in the, make sure none of this stuff ends up in the bundle. All right, so we got debug printer. That does some stuff. We're not going to worry about that. We got debug text, imports drawable. Yeah, we're not going to worry about that. We got drawable. Drawable class is the anything that draws on screen. Extends from this this class. Drawable group. Is that a thing anymore? I know it was like an idea I had, and I probably messed around with it, but let's see. Drawable group. No, I'm going to get rid of this because I may at some point in time think that that's a good idea, but right now I'm going to delete this file altogether. Event emitter. Yeah, this shouldn't import anything. That looks great. Font doesn't import anything. All of that is great. Global events. I'm going to delete this file. I will eventually use something like that, but that one is currently not being used. I was kind of explaining that before. I'm going to probably move all my events to like a file where they all kind of become enums. So they all are integers rather than the string names for events. I was kind of explaining that before. All right, so that's helper. We got hourglass. Yes, the hourglass is our timer now. So I got hourglass old, which is the old one. And this one, that's one that I need to move. So hourglass old is one that needs to get moved. And that had bad imports, but that's okay. Whoops. In-game menu. This can get moved. In-game menu. Main, that's fine. That imports our application and initializes the application. That's all we have in main.js. It's our main entry point. Not our main entry point, our entry point. You only have one entry point, right? Okay. Main menu. This is good. No, this is not. This is bad. This is the old one. So, yeah, what is it called now? It's just called menu. So this is main menu. This one needs to get moved. Main menu. Make drawable. That can get deleted. That was nothing. Feels good cleaning all this stuff up. Marathon bubble. Yes, this is good. This needs to get, color. We can get rid of that. fix the import there. I'd like to rename that marathon bubble to bubble now, but we'll maybe do that once we kind of, yeah, maybe we're not actually going to do that today. Marathon creator. Okay, this one we need to go through and clean up a bunch of stuff. This imports a billion things. Gab Coco, pound Discord or bang Discord. I don't have a bot or anything set up to do those commands yet. I still have to do that. I do have a Discord link. It is on my Twitch page. Which, oh. Do I have a GitHub repo? Yep, I joined. Oh, awesome. Cool. Thanks. I don't have a GitHub. I don't have this repository public. I said I don't have a GitHub. I meant to say I don't have a GitHub repo. I do have a GitHub account and everything. I don't have this code public right now. I might at some point. And I also, when I kind of finish this game up, I'm going to push it as far as I can. As long as people are interested, I'd like to kind of keep maintaining this game. But at the same time, it's not really like a dream game of mine. So it's not like I plan on working on this game for the rest of my life, that should be somewhat obvious when you look at this game. It's kind of like a kindergartner game. But I plan eventually to maybe separate my engine code because I'm kind of building the engine for this simultaneously with the game. So at some point I might kind of split the engine off from the game code, pull out the game logic, and then kind of have a repo that's just the engine code. And then I might at some point also put this code public as well. Because I got nothing to hide from, having this code public or anything. It's not really that big a deal. I mean, I think my JavaScript engine is kind of cool, but kind of cool, but it's simple, it's not some secret or anything. Gab, so cool. Thanks. I assume you're talking about the game there. Vanilla.js, exactly. Yes, Vanilla.js. It's all just, I'm not using any libraries or anything weird, except I'm using a WebSockets package on the server. So I'm using the WS package for WebSockets on the server, but that's not being used right now anyway, or it won't be used for my initial version. I'll play the game for you real quick here so you can kind of check it out. So basically you're trying to pop these bubbles, these circles, different colors in the order that they appear here, right? So we need to pop the purple one first, then the whatever this color is, maroon. So as we play, like more bubbles are appearing, so like the game just keeps going and going and going and going. And it's basically right now just pop as many bubbles as you can in 30 seconds. So that's kind of the current way to play the game. So it's meant to be kind of fast paced, and you're just, if I really like focus here and try to play really fast, I can, set pretty good times. Whew. But yeah, it's kind of fun. I don't know. Yeah. And I'm getting really close to releasing the test. I don't know how long you were lurking, hanging out before, but if you heard me say anything about this before, but I stream Mondays and Tuesdays. Try to stream for like six or 7 hours typically on a Monday and Tuesday. I start 10 a.m. Central Time, usually. Central Daylight Time. And I'd really like to have this game up publicly available before next week, before the stream next Monday. Gab, and if you mess one color, do you have time penalty or something? So what happens is I'll explain that a little more. So you've got the time going down. So this is just a fixed 30 seconds right now. Maybe I'll decide later, or getting feedback from people, they might say, oh, it'd be cool if it was 60 seconds instead, right? Then maybe, you know. But for right now, this is just going to be a 30-second timer. So I'll just restart here real quick. So if you mess up, there's like a checkpoint system. So right now there's 4 bubbles. Once you pop 4 bubbles, you go to the next checkpoint. So if you mess up, if you miss a color, or if you crash into the wall here, then you go back to the bubble of that previous checkpoint. So the checkpoints are in 4 bubbles, in 4 pops, or every 4th bubble you pop is a new checkpoint. So here, if I popped pink, but if I mess up, crash into the wall here, pink comes back. And also the next bubble of the next checkpoint appears, and that's kind of part of the penalty too. Like there's more bubbles on screen, so it kind of gets a little harder to keep track of. But then like as you pop bubbles, more are appearing. But now I popped brown and pink, but if I mess up, boom, they both come back. So like until I pop 4 bubbles and go to the next checkpoint, which I just did, now I'm okay. Now the timer ran out, but okay, clever. Well, thanks. Thanks for calling me clever. It's making me feel good about myself. Yeah, so the you can kind of see up at the top here, the bubbles that will come back if you screw up. Like it's kind of subtle to see it, but like you can see like these 2 bubbles kind of go up and become tiny and transparent, semi-transparent. So that way, if you mess up, you'll see those come back. And then I'll restart here because my time is about to expire. But then once I go to a checkpoint, so when I pop this bubble, I'll go to a next checkpoint, and then you'll see those bubbles, those little bubbles up at the top there, like fly off the screen. So like they went. So that's kind of signifying, oh yeah, you made it to a new checkpoint. So I think I might try to make that more clear in the future to the player, but for right now, I think that's good. And like the game's fast paced, and as you're playing, you're not really paying attention to, you're not trying to pay attention to like checkpoints necessarily. Like when you mess up, you know, you'll realize, oh, I have to go back and pop this other bubble. But when you're playing the game like really fast, you're not trying to go like, okay, oh, I'm on a new check, or I made it to a different checkpoint or whatever. Like you're just trying to pop bubbles as fast as you can, and like that's all you're really concerned with. So the whole checkpoint thing isn't really that important. Like obviously it is for the game play itself, the logic and everything behind it, but for the player, it's like you're not really focused on, like I'm not watching like that, oh, there's 2 bubbles that might come back if I mess up, you know. You're just not focused on that. Like you're playing, you're just like trying to pop bubbles as fast as you can. You're just, you know, whatever. Not too concerned about all the little things going on here. And you're focused here, you know, your eye is focusing kind of somewhere in this region here where you're trying to pop these bubbles and also be seeing which bubbles you need to pop. That sort of thing. All right, so let's see what else we can do here. Colors. I'm actually going to get rid of this color array here. Max bubble distance. I should move this to our config file because that's basically what it is. Gab, I've been working on a learning tool for students, a sort of serious game, and I wanted to create something like a bubble tree where each bubble is an exercise. Any subject, math, programming, English, etc. Cool. Very cool. I wish I learned about programming in school. I really do. I didn't really get into programming until I was probably like 21 years old. Maybe 20. That's cool. So create some sort of a bubble tree where each bubble is an exercise. Gotcha. Yeah, so you're kind of like, you're getting like more advanced as you go. Like one bubble is one level of difficulty or something in the game, in the math or whatever, right? And then kind of something like that where it's like getting progressively more difficult. I assume they're kind of like answering questions or something. Exactly. I used to know Zach Lee. Just kidding. I have no idea. Don't know Zach Lee. Naris, I've learned programming during school, but not in school. Gotcha. Yeah, well, I'm kind of an old grandpa. So, I'm not that old. I'm old, but I'm at the point where I have to think about what my age is. I have to, like, kind of look up and go, how old am I again? Gab, and make learning fun. Yeah, cool. Yeah, learning should be fun. Gab Coco, no diploma needed. Yeah, I mean, if you got the, anything, especially in the technology space, like unless you're literally trying to go into the computer science field, you really don't need like a computer science degree. I mean, some jobs might want you to have it, but if you like want to pave your own way kind of thing, I mean, like you have to learn stuff, but it's like you really don't need a formal education, it feels like. Sounds like that school has the answer to the universe. Oh, sorry, I missed a couple comments there. We have a school in Paris called School 42. No diploma needed. Oh, that's what you were talking about. Sorry. Sounds like that school has the answer to the universe. You enter the school with an exam, and it's a pure learning kind of education. It's awesome. Nice. That's cool. So you're French, Gab, from France. Francais. In some years, it became one of the top CS schools here. Cool. Nice. What does the 42 mean in School 42? Why is my webcam not focusing? Yep, from the Baguette Nation. Nice. Come on, what's going on here with the webcam? Not that I care about you guys seeing me nice and crisp and clear, but the focal, it's focusing like where my hand looks nice, but come on. There we go. 42 is a running gag in programming where it's the answer of any problem. Oh, I'm not, I don't think I've heard of that. Maybe I've heard of that. When I think of 42, that was Jackie Robinson's number, the first African American baseball player in the MLB. So that's a 42 is a big American thing from that regard, but yeah, I don't know if I've heard anything about that as far as programming goes. Guess I'm a noob. It's from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Gotcha. Nice. I maybe saw part of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, or it was a book, I guess, right? And then a movie. They had a movie about it. Somebody made a movie on it. The answer to live, life, universe, and everything. Gotcha. And I could have been wrong. Jackie Robinson's number is 42, right? And there was like a movie 42 about Jackie Robinson. Naris, life. Yeah, I gotcha. Figured that's what you were trying to say. Well, it's cool that if that's really straight out of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, like if Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is the originator of the 42 being that number, then calling it School 42, that's pretty cool. That's rad. All right, what else are we working on here? We're cleaning stuff up. I'm past 3 hours now. Maybe we'll go for 4 hours. Because I'm finding there's other things we can do here. And we're hanging out in the chat. I'm not gonna shut that off. So I'm not gonna cut the stream right now. We're going to keep rolling. We got more stuff to do. All right. So, oh yeah, we're cleaning up our Marathon Creator class here. So I want to get rid of these bad imports, these ones that are faded out. And I want to move this variable to the config file. So, because it's right here, it's just doing a subtraction of two different config file variables, constants. So there's no reason why this one can't be also a constant. So max bubble distance. Yeah, we use that in one place right here. So that would get recalculated a bunch of times. So we don't want to move this subtraction down into that spot in the code. We still want this to happen once and only once, but because that's kind of what's happening here is we're creating this outside of our Marathon Creator class. So like only the Marathon Creator has access to this variable. So let's get rid of that and do, we're going to do bubble count, max bubble distance, units. This is units, right? Config.marathon.max bubble distance units. Is there something else? Max bubble distance units. Oh man, there's some other variables I want to clean up, but I'm not going to worry about those right now. There's some other stuff in here that should get changed, but okay, so we need to do a couple of things here. Nav meter, progress meter, where? Q step. I guess we'll call this, instead of max bubble distance, what is this? Oh, play area. Where's the play area? Play area. Is it under round? Yeah, see, this is one of those dumb things. $70 followers. Congrats. Are you already an affiliate? Thanks on the congrats for that. Yes, I already am an affiliate. I think I hit affiliate last week. Yeah, so or technically 2 weeks ago. I think not last Tuesday, but the Tuesday before. So like last week, I stream on Mondays and Tuesdays, so I've been since then as an affiliate now. So yeah, thanks for the congrats on that. Let's create a programming community around the game and call it the Bubble Fam. I like it. I don't know if you heard that before, Gab, but I don't even have a name for the game right now because I have an old name for it that I was calling TraceRacer, and I haven't. That doesn't really apply anymore, so I need to come up with a new name. Neris, how long have you been streaming? I started kind of at the end of August, so this past August, right? So a couple months ago. Yeah, we're coming up on about 2 months, I think, now. I think I maybe started like the last week of August. So, yeah, for a couple months here. So, I mean, 70 followers, congrats, Gab, you say that, but I mean, that's you guys. That's the community here. So, I'm only an affiliate now because you guys are cool and hanging out, and you know, I'm just sitting here typing on the computer like an idiot because I mess stuff up all the time. But yeah, Gab, you said you joined the Discord now, so thanks for doing that. And my Discord, there's like nothing there right now. There's just a couple people. Retro MMO is one of the ones. He hangs out on the stream a lot. He's one of the members of the Discord. So I'd like to bump the Discord and stuff up and kind of get that going a little more. And what I was doing earlier in the stream actually was adding the links. So now I'm adding the links to the game. So now I've got Discord and Twitch links. We might change that a little bit, and those scale with the window changes and everything nicely. So That's good. Neris, I'm actually trying to start streaming too, but Twitch says nope. My account is bugged. Huh. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the, I mean, I've had my Twitch account for years now, right? But I basically, as soon as I start streaming, I disappear from Twitch completely. That's weird. Well, I'll have to give you a follow, Neris, and see if I ever. Are you trying to stream on a schedule at all, or? Oh, Neris, yeah, you were the one helping me out with the links here in the beginning with the CSS, with the raw CSS. That's right. Yeah, I just explained that again, but you were there at least. Gab wasn't, so we just added these links today. Basically, is what I was trying to say, and they work now. We got the Discord. Pop that open. Tyrannosaur's Game Dev Community is what I'm calling the server, right? Because it's not really revolving just around this game. You know, I kind of do other stuff, whatever. But Twitch link on here. Ugh, runs ads now. When you're an affiliate, I guess they just decide to run ads on you now. It's like Twitch saying like, "Oh yeah, come on, be an affiliate. We'll harvest your ad revenue for you." I mean, I get a little cutback from the ads, but it's like pennies, you know. I can't complain. I'm not complaining at all, but I'm just saying, you know. The affiliate program I think is great, but it's certainly there's a much higher bar in YouTube before you can start monetizing. Yeah, so what? Yeah, we gotta do this math in our config file. So this is round.playArea, this is round.bubble radius units max. So I'm gonna do round.max bubble distance units. Bubble rad min, bubble rad max, and we're gonna do const we're gonna do bubble radius units, and then we're gonna do min, and that's gonna be this bubble rad min, and then we're gonna do max, and that's gonna be this. And I should have typed an equals sign there, but I'm an idiot. Equals, there we go. All right, it was nice discussing with you guys. So glad I found your stream channel at Tyrannosaur. Take care, everyone. Hey, thanks, Gab. I appreciate you. Appreciate the follow, and thanks for hanging out. See you next week, I hope. Thanks. And I hope we'll actually have a live version ready for people to play next week. So, yeah, have a good one, Gab. You're probably going to bed now soon or something. It's probably late in France, right? 1:23 p.m. Yeah, it's got to be like 10 p.m. in France, right? Nobody for now. Bye. Yeah, thanks for still hanging out. Nobody. Okay. All right. So I think we're good here. Then what we do is just replace this with that. Oh, actually, we can just do this. Look at that. ES6. That's ES6 for you. Oh, wait, I don't need to. Oh, no, we do need to do that. Do we? No, actually, we can shrink this down here a bit. We can do 100 min, 200 max. We can get rid of these, and then we can do this as bubble rad units dot max minus. Yeah, so we're shrinking stuff up here a bit. Bubble radius units dot min. Sweet. Okay, and then we get rid of these two, and then okay, what else are we trying to do? Bubble key letters. This is kind of a cool idea that I had for something, but we're going to get rid of it for now. All right, what is going on here? Bubble radius units diff. What was I even trying to do here? Max bubble distance. All right, so we want to get this variable into our constants file. So we've got the play area radius units. So this needs to be const play area radius units equals 1,000, and then that way I can do that because we need to do a calculation up here. So we'll do okay, so it's the radius units minus the bubble radius units max. Okay, so this is going to be const max bubble distance units, and that's going to equal play area radius units minus bubble radius units dot max. Yes. Brilliant. And then we add this file, or this variable, max bubble distance units. We'll just put that right down at the end here. Oops. Cool, cool. And then I can get rid of this. Let's just comment it out for right now, and then we're going to go down to where we actually used that. How about that? That'll help. Oh, wait a minute. Bubble max dist pix. Wait a minute here. Oh, no. I did the wrong thing. Max bubble distance. Okay, there it is. So now this is going to be config dot round dot max bubble distance units. Okay, brilliant. All right, let's test this out real quick before we make sure I didn't break anything. So we should see that bubbles are generating all in the right positions and everything now, because that's kind of what we changed. And let's make sure our scaling still works. Yes, and then let's make sure the bubble positions are still fine. Yes, brilliant. Cool. We're looking pretty good there. Looking pretty good. Oof. Little neck crack there. Loosening it up. Okay. All right, so we know everything works. I can get rid of this comment now. We can get rid of all of these comments now. See if there's anything else. I'm going to scan the file real quick. Progress meter setup. I might borrow some of the code from this in the future, so I'm going to leave the comments. Oh, we can get rid of all of. Oh, no. I'm going to keep those for tweaking the colors later. The color generating algorithm. We'll keep those for now. The round def, we can get rid of that. I'd like to do something maybe a little different with that. That round def property that I just got rid of, or parameter that I just got rid of, had to do with the competitive game mode. Add ability to scale off of canvas width too. Yeah, that's something I'll just leave in there for now. Okay, so everything was still looking fine in terms of our game. We're still playing. brilliant. All right, and I'm getting derailed a little bit from what we were doing, but we're still going and cleaning up all of our imports. So we just cleaned up Marathon Creator. Now we have Match. This is one that's going to get removed to the old folder here. We've got Menu. Yep, that's fine. I already looked through that. We got Menu Old. That will get moved. Menu Old. We've got Nav Bubble. Everything looks good in here. Yeah, okay. Some annoying stuff in there, but whatever. Nav Meter. We got good imports. We had good imports on this one too, right? Okay, all the imports are good. Yes, yes, yes. Looks good, looks good. Open path, that looks good. Play area, that looks good. Player input. I am going to do this. I just saw a little bug on the wall. All right, so this code is using my debuggable mixin class. So I'm going to get rid of that for right now. I was explaining that before a little bit. The debuggable mixin is like a nice little way to put some debug code, print some stuff to the canvas for debugging, which is really nice. Naris, I need to start using split screen too. Seems like a great way to work with the code. Yeah, it's really. Do you use Visual Studio Code for your as your text editor? Yeah, I really like using the split screen, especially when I'm doing a lot of like. Well, yeah, because I always forget what I did for other things in like my engine code and everything. So I'm always pulling up like the other file as kind of like my example to make sure I'm doing it correctly. No, I mostly use JetBrains IDEs. Gotcha. Yeah, IDE is what I should have said before. All right, I'm going to get rid of this debuggable mixin import. I want to keep this reference here just so I remember how to use this properly. I think there's some other, I might need to debug. Ooh, we can comment this out. It's just, does it say debug in here anywhere? No? Yes? All right, let's comment all of this out. That's calculations that happen a lot. State.velocity. All right, I'm going to remove all of this. Or comment all of it out. I'll keep it around for reference. Okay, debug items. I already commented all that out. That's great. Debug. Does it say debug anywhere else in here? Debug. Debug. Debug, 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 debug. Yep, and that's all commented out now. So nice. Very nice. Let's make sure the game still works. I didn't break anything. Yeah, so obviously, like the debugging kind of code, I don't want that going down to the client at all, to the production client. Like obviously for testing and development, I want it to, but my little debug system I have just is really nice to print values to the screen just really quickly and everything. But I want to figure out a better way to kind of automatically maybe remove that stuff so I never have to actually remove it, like by going in and physically commenting out the code. I'd like to figure out a way to maybe automatically get rid of that code when I decide to like actually minify it and everything. Sending a little text message here quick. All right. So everything was still working with this stuff commented out. And all the comments will get removed when we minify the code and everything. So I like keeping comments around just for reference to go back and refer to things later. But yeah, if you're still hanging around there, Neris, I've never used JetBrains. I mean, I know the name, but I've never done anything with JetBrains. It's not a free, it's not a free IDE, I guess, right? Or you said IDEs plural, so I guess they have a suite of tools and whatnot. And I assume it's not free. Could be wrong in that. Okay, we're looking at progress ball now. Progress ball. This is something I kind of want to move, but for now, might end up just leaving this in the code. They have a couple of free products, but yeah, mostly paid. Gotcha. All right, so this code here, the progress ball isn't being used anymore, but I probably am going to end up coming back and using something at least very similar to this code once I start working on the competitive game mode. But right now, I don't really want to use... it's not that much code. I might as well... Oh, actually, okay, so this is going to be something I want to check here. Yeah, that's what I've been... Progress ball. And by check, I mean I want to see if this ends up in the minification process at all. These ones. Because it's like, I want to keep these files, but I don't want them to go down to the client for this first version here. So, anyway, everything with this file is good otherwise. Progress bubble. Progress bubble. This is old, right? Yeah, this is old. So progress bubble is going to get moved. Progress indicator. That's old. Yeah, this is old. Yes, I have too many like similar names for my old stuff. So I'm going to move this file, not delete it, but just move it. Progress meter. So this is new now. This is the new one now. Wait a minute. Progress meter. This is also something that I'm going to write in check. Because progress ball and progress meter kind of go together here. Yeah, this is using the ball, the box fill with the time. Yeah. So I'm going to keep this, but it is not being used currently. Q. I think I'm using a Q still. Yeah. We're using this for like the mouse inputs and the whatnot. It's on my own little data structure that I call Q. As far as I know, there is a classical or a computer sciencey type of data structure called Q, but I don't think I didn't reference that at all. Q in my case is basically an array, but it lets you do something special. What does it let you do? Let's see. It's an array. It's basically got it's a class object with one property, internal property here that is just an empty array initially. We add a value, and then it's basically just a shift each. Oh yeah, executes a callback. My own. Basically, it's my own little array with a special kind of for each kind of thing. Shift each, where we shift each value out of the queue. I guess shift pulls it off the top of the array. Values.shift and runs a callback for that value. Yeah, so it's just kind of my own little array type wrapper. And I use it in a couple places. I use that style of thing in a couple of places. So, okay. Oh, we're on rect now for rectangle. That is good. Round. This is old. This can get moved. Oops. Wow, there's a lot of files we can move. Round creator, that can move. Most of these are from my old game mode code that I just kept these files around so I could reference them because I was kind of more or less taking some parts from them to generate the new code for the new game mode. But a lot of the files can just go away completely now. They're like not used at all. Scoreboard, that can go away or that can get moved. I don't want to delete it, but scoreboard can be moved. Stat, that is new and used. And that looks good. Stat screen, whoa, we got a bunch of bad imports there. Great, we simplified that a lot. Stat screen creator. Yeah, well, yeah, we'll keep that around for now. I wanted to kind of change that, but I've got some other code that I just want to kind of refactor a little bit or shift, not even like legit refactor, just kind of move some functions around to kind of clean stuff up and not have so many files. But I'm not going to worry about that for right now. Okay, stats screen creator, we just looked at, right? All the imports are good. Text. Drawable, canvas wrapper. Yes, we use canvas wrapper here for measuring the text. That looks great. Timer. Entity, that's all imports. That's fantastic. Did I look at entity? Yeah, I must have, right? Yeah. Drawable. Just making sure I looked at all these. Debug text, debug printer, debuggable, yeah. All right, so we've got, what was on timer? We looked at that, that's good. We got times up screen. That's new. One bad import there. Yeah, this message could get moved to the config, but I'll worry about that later. You're not using double quotes there for some reason. Oh, yeah, because I have a single quote there. All right, and then we got WebSockets wrapper. Yeah, there's nothing really wrong with that. Do I use Q in the player input? Yes, I do. Cool. It's nice to getting some use out of that. All right, so we've cleaned up the code here quite a bit, which is great. And coming up on 4 hours here. All right. So what we want to do now is, all right. I'm going to rename this to client old. The really old client. We're going to create a new old client folder. Client. Oh, that's not where I wanted to create it. Neris, you said you're not familiar with HTML. Have you been using JS before, or did you learn it while you were making the game? English is broken today. No worries. No, I'm familiar with HTML, but I just don't use it a ton, you know. I don't really necessarily consider myself like a web developer, so to say. I should say I am familiar with it, just I'm not like, I don't like use it all the time. So it's, but yeah, you asked, have you been using JS before? Did you learn it while you're making this game? I have been using JS for a while now, so I would consider myself pretty fluent with JavaScript. And, you know, like I kind of built this game so that there's basically no HTML, you know. And it's just all JavaScript and all like HTML canvas and elements just moving inside of the canvas, drawing on the screen, right? So I'm not using like anything for any CSS or animations or whatever for any of this stuff. Yeah. I like to think of myself more as like a programmer rather than specifically a web developer, whatever. Because kind of the web, it's like there's such a separation today between like web development and like any other programming. Like there's, for some reason, there's just some very strict line for some reason. I don't really know why that is. And I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the way the web world is, with just like a million tools and a million tool chains and a million stacks of technology that you're supposed to use. And like, nobody knows how code's going to work on a bajillion different browsers. So you have to always run it through Babel or something or whatever. Just, you know, like a bunch of different things. All that just drives me crazy. Like, I just want to write some code, and if it works, it works. If it breaks, it breaks. And like, yeah, so I'm not using any, I am working on the minification process and everything, but that shouldn't really be changing my code at all. I think I was explaining to you, Neris, before about you were mentioning using like Webpack and stuff, and I was talking about using Terser and Rollup for kind of the minification process. Yep. So what was I saying about that? Well, okay. So for this game, like, I don't want to use a bajillion tools. Like, I'd rather just write the code I'm using it on Chrome, and like some ridiculously high percentage of people today are using Chrome over any other browsers, you know? So it's like, if somebody's using some weird, obscure browser and the game doesn't work for them, you know, like, I don't really care. You know, like if somebody explicitly comes to me and says, hey, I wish it worked in this browser, like pops into the Discord and says that or something, or pops into the chat and says, I was messing around with the game and it doesn't work in this browser. You know, I might take a look at it, or if enough people say, hey, yeah, it'd be great if you worked for this browser, for some reason it doesn't. But at the same time, it's like just JavaScript. So it's like any browser that's going to support ES6, and I have some other things that are beyond ES6. I think I'm using maps, JavaScript map, the map object, not array.prototype.map, but I'm using the map class, that map. And I think that's beyond, I don't think I'm using that at all in this. I don't know. But it's like my game would, you know, if there's some sort of issue with certain it's like all JavaScript. You know, the code is like obviously 99.999% JavaScript. So it's like if there's some feature in there that's broken, it wouldn't be difficult to like go in and patch it probably either. It's not like I'm dealing with something where like, oh, a bunch of these CSS things only work this way and this browser do this thing and does this other thing different. You have to add all these exceptions, you know, like that. That really wouldn't happen. I wouldn't think. For like modern browsers, I feel like it would just work, you know. And I could be wrong, but I mean, this even just works on my phone, you know, because like phones, you can play this on mobile, which I feel like is kind of cheating. And it's not, I haven't done a thing for mobile. I have no intention of supporting mobile. In fact, I even think of like adding a little line in there to say like, you're not supposed to use this on mobile. Or like doing some check or something that in the beginning to like disable it on mobile, because I want this game to be mouse and keyboard, you know. I guess. I don't know. Maybe I would do some mobile thing. But from the competitive game standpoint, I don't really like the idea of mobile playing against mouse and keyboard. Because you'd probably be faster on mobile. In fact, I know in my testing with it, like on my phone, like I can open it up on my phone here right now. Yeah, so it like comes up with my play button there, and it's like delayed. Like I'm using on-click events to do everything, but yeah, like the game pops up there. And I haven't done anything to like support it, you know, it's just the mobile Chrome browser or whatever. And you can play, it's like a little delayed. Like the taps for some reason are delayed as clicks events, so I don't know what the deal is with that, and there's some other weird things, but you can still play relatively quickly with this. So anyway, Nearest, sometimes I really wish to just write something simple. Even my pet projects are full of dependency injection and stuff. Yeah, exactly. That was what I was saying before. Like it's so annoying that there's like a million things to deal with web development. And that just makes you like Google everything. Like you're just Googling all the time to figure that out. And I'd way rather just my own code be my problem rather than someone else's code. And then I have to like understand what they did and try to understand their philosophy and understand why, you know, like all this dumb stuff. Case in point, last night I ended up I was telling you about Terser and whatever. I was trying to use Babel Minify. Before I started using Terser last night, I was messing around with this. Just trying to use Babel Minify. And it was like I was trying to get it, like just the straight up Babel Minify NPM package was fine. But I was like just trying to find some stuff to make it work with modules, with ES6 modules, right? This stuff here, import. Because this natively just works in the browser now, right? But the minification things, you know, you have to specify some weird thing. And like Babel has all these like presets and plugins and blah, 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 blah. Like you got to pick all this stuff. And I'm like, sure, if I watched a tutorial, like probably an hour tutorial on Babel, I'd like know how to use it. But to me, it's like, this is insane. I'm just trying to like shrink the code and like, you know, so that's why I ended up with Rollup. And I have kind of the same beef with like Webpack, where it's just like this insane amount of things to do. And it's like here, at least with Terser, I just have, you know, I install the NPM global package, and here I got my this little command line thing. That's all I want. Yeah, it's a mess. I had an experience with that stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's like, I just like, tell me what this thing does. Like Terser has a very simple API, just like a few commands, and they make sense. Babel's like, oh, well, import this thing and then do this preset and all this stuff and then do a config file. And there's like a bajillion different formats for the config file. Like, why? Like, and I understand, like take it with this with a grain of salt. I'm ranting because I don't even know too. Like maybe if I spent a little time trying to understand this stuff, it'd be better. But it's like Terser, I could just go in and I understood exactly what it said in the NPM documentation, and it did exactly what I want. And it even, Terser is the one that pointed me to Rollup, because Terser says if you want to bundle your modules, you should use Rollup. And then I assume it's saying then use Terser to like minify. I was like, oh, thank you for telling me that right there in the documentation. So I went to use Rollup. Everything just works beautifully. I just run 2 commands. My whole app just gets crumpled up in like 250 milliseconds. That's probably still way too long. But, and now there's like multiple babbles and the documentation is all outdated. Yeah, it's just like, why? This is why I'm like really trying to learn C and C++ and like program in those languages. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know. And as I say, I'm like ranting, and maybe I'm an idiot because like I really could learn more, but like, and yes, I am an idiot. So like when I see something simple like Terser, I go, great. You know, I just want low friction tools, right? Like let the complex stuff be my problem, my own problem in my head and like everything. Like I don't want to trying to use a tool to like just transform my code a little bit at the very end. Like that should just be simple and already a solved problem. And it is, right? Case in point with Terser and Rollup. And it's nice that those exist, and I'm glad they do, because I don't want to write my own minification thing. But if Babel was the only thing out there, I feel like I would have to. Ugh. And I get it, yeah, that Babel probably does a lot to, you know, really help, you know. Well, and that was the other thing that made it worse, because I just was trying to research Babel minify. I didn't want anything to do with the normal Babel. Like the normal Babel transpiling and supporting of old code. I just wanted the minification one. So like just searching for documentation on that was like terrible. And it's like, I know how ubiquitous Babel is. Sorry, I keep ranting here. I know how ubiquitous Babel is and how much of like a household name it is in the web development community, right? So that just makes me think like, well, the way I'm trying to use Babel is like just not, I'm in still like the top one, or not top 1%, but I'm in like this 1% of people that are trying to, you know, probably work on just a vanilla JS project and use Babel minify for this one thing, just my one little thing. You know, people probably have all these other incredible tool chains with React and whatever, where it's all like baked in, and it takes your project, your like one little line, your one little hello world project takes like 10 seconds to build. That's a whole nother thing. That's why the web world is terrible. I mean, I don't know. Sorry for the rant. Okay, so I really need to finish this up, and then I think I'm going to be heading out in a few minutes here once I finish these files. Heading out, getting some lunch, and then I'm going to be trying to start working on deploying this app, deploying the test version. All right, so let's just finish these last few things. I think all I'm doing is moving some folders around. Another ranty thing. Why doesn't VS Code just... VS Code's like UI moving stuff around is awful. And it's an Electron app, from what I understand. So I'm not, screw that. I'm going to use Windows. I'm going to use Explorer. All right, where are we going here? Okay. We're going to do this the old-fashioned way. Old. Okay, so we got client old and we got client scripts. Okay. And okay, we've got our list of stuff we want to move. So we want to move bubble copy. Let's see, we got bubble copy, bubble, Hourglass old, in-game menu, main menu, match. Where's match? Match. Menu old, progress bubble, progress indicator, round, round creator, scoreboard. And then I'm going to move all 12 of these. Move to client old. Beautiful. Let's make sure our game still works. Loaded faster. I feel like the... Oh, scripts match.js. Oh, we're doing some bad imports. Okay, so let's fix those then. Do we have... Okay, match.js. Yeah, match. Okay, so that's in the application. So we'll do application and match. We'll just comment that out. Keep it for reference. There we go. All right, everything's still working. Oh. This is small. Why is it so small? There we go. All right, everything's working good. Playing the game. No more errors, no more whatever. Anyway. Okay. So yeah, so we cleaned up everything. So now every file in here is something we need. Not all of these are going to need to go to our client right away for our first test build, but they're in there. So that's kind of my second process. But I think for now, okay, so I've moved all of these. That's great. Now I need to check these final 4 files. Oh. Yeah, actually, not just debuggable, but debug printer and debug text. I need to check all of those files. Brilliant. All right. So I think I'm going to sign off for now. I said it was going to be just a shorter stream today. We're just under 4 hours. So thanks, everybody, for hanging out. I stream Mondays and Tuesdays. Hopefully, this next Monday, I will have the first initial test version publicly available for you guys to play and try out. That is my goal. So I'm not promising, because I might run into some issues and whatever, and I'm going back to I'm working Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I work with my other job. So I'll be doing that. But so it's possible I might not get it done by Monday. I'll try to work a little bit on the weekend, get it done. But yeah, maybe if you come back Monday, I'll have a link ready and you can try it out. We'll see. Still a lot of little details that need to be taken care of, but I'm getting hungry. I got to get some lunch and do some boring stuff that wouldn't be fun to stream. So that's why I'm going to sign off. Neris, have a nice day and thanks for the stream. And good luck with the release. Hey, thank you very much. And thanks for the follow and everything. I think you followed, right? Yep, you followed. And thanks for hanging out. I really appreciate it. And thanks for that help in the beginning with the HTML and the CSS. I always appreciate a little help when I have no idea what I'm doing, which is 95% of the time. No idea what I'm doing. So thank you very much. We'll see you guys Monday. Maybe I usually try to do a weekend stream, but just with everything going on, trying to get this ready to deploy and actually out publicly, probably won't have a stream on the weekend. But we'll see. So, I'm Duranosaur, Jared Oliver. I'm signing off for now. We'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.